I don't have any booze, but I did have a Guinness earlier with my barbecue that I cooked. My fucking meat had smoking on the grill all day.
Favorite.
You had a meat tower in the group chat.
Yeah.
General showing big meat in the chat. Yeah. I don't know.
Showing his meat in the chat.
I got really jealous. I had some wings. I had some wings from a chain. It's a chain restaurant called East Coast Wings here. It was delicious. I haven't eaten anything all day, and the first thing that hit my stomach were some extra crispy wings.
Nice.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You know?
I make a mean wing on the grill too. I tell you that. I fucking love that shit. Hey, it's episode 46. Welcome.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit, what? Did you not know we were recording a podcast tonight?
46? I had 45.
Oh. It's 46, and welcome to another episode of the Elder Trolls Gaming Podcast. If you're new, we are three brothers. We talk about gaming, and we talk tech TV, other things too. Tonight, we have Nick from Friday Night Gamecast with us again, recurring guest, multiple times. How you doing?
Yeah.
How you doing? Good to have you.
I'm glad to be back here. Thank you for having me again, guys. I'm so excited to be here for this really incredible episode to be a part of.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
We're
so
trying to
you've
get,
been
you can't keep
dying.
me
Have you
away.
been dying to talk about this? You've been dying to talk about this. It says here. It says
Yeah.
it. I'm reading it on my screen.
I think that Nate might have included that, but I really have been dying to talk about it. I've been dying to talk about it to somebody because a certain other somebody that we all four of us know refuses to play this game. He doesn't want to play this game.
He has
Until
Game
he's
Pass,
done.
so.
Is it until he's done with Tears of the Kingdom, or that he's just until he's put more hours into? What's the
refuses?
story there?
He
I don't know.
refuses.
Yeah, he's probably gonna hit it next year. He's in big like early young child dad phase, and I already tried to task him with Tears of the Kingdom, and he's whittling away at that. So he's working on it as much as he can. So
He's
it's
trying.
all-
He's trying.
He
balance.
just
doing what I'm
can't
not
sleep.
right now.
That's all. What's more important, Will? Is it sleep or video games? Like
These are the big questions.
it goes family.
I mean, you should be used to sacrificing sleep if you're a gamer anyway. Like, if he's a real gamer.
Seriously,
I mean,
seriously.
what
I
is
was up
sleep?
till
Zero sleep.
I don't know.
3
Zero
o'clock
sleep.
last night. I was putting in work until 3 o'clock last night. So, you know, Will, where are
Exactly.
you at? What are you doing? He actually, I'll spoil this for him. I'll spoil this for him because he's not on the show today, but he just beat Resident Evil 4 Remake. So he did his run through. So he's been distracted by Capcom. He doesn't want to play any Bethesda games. Can you believe it?
I was gonna say he was
Capcom,
pretty deep
yeah.
into Resident Evil. But
Yeah, he's a huge Resi fan.
He's a big. What was that new Capcom game they just put out again that we played? Exo Primal.
Oh,
He's a big
Exo Primal. Oh, he
yeah.
loves Exo
Yeah,
Primal. He
he
keeps
loves
trying to
Exo
get me to
Primal.
play with him. He keeps getting me to try to play it with him, and I actually liked it. I actually had a good
I
time.
enjoyed
when
it
we
too.
talked
Like I
about
had
it.
some fun.
Yeah.
I had some fun playing it. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, today we're going to be talking about Starfield. The last episode we talked a little about the hype, a little about the PS fanboys kind of squanching on the hype, and we didn't know, if it was justified or not. But now, we put some hours on, we put some miles in.
What were
so
the
we can
ponies
talk about it.
saying? What were the ponies saying about Starfield? What did they say? I didn't see any of this.
Just the squanch. They were trying to hype, like they're making fun of the login screen or like the start.
Well, you remember that one, Nick. You
screen
knew
and,
that
like,
one.
that just kind of shit.
Just stupid
Yeah.
shit. It's just like, what? Just go back into your hole and like, what are you doing? Like, go play a PlayStation game. Like, why do you care?
I don't know if somebody shared it between the four of us at all, but I did see on Twitter somebody was they were cracking on Bethesda a little bit because there are a lot of loading screens in this game, but they were cracking and they were like, if CD Projekt or if the Cyberpunk 2077 was made by Bethesda and it shows you
that's
getting
a
out of
good
the
one,
car, a loading screen, going in the apartment, loading
Well, it is
screen.
like when you go into like a building, it loads. But that's like
We'll get to it.
creation.
We'll
I
get
think
to
that's
it.
got to be creation, right? But
It is.
yes,
Yeah,
well,
100%.
we'll get to it later, But first, Nate, I heard you were getting pretty upset on the bench last night.
Oh, I don't think I've been that upset playing hockey in a while.
What happened? What happened,
Holy
Nate?
fuck! I don't know, because we have like Ben, our buddy Ben. He puts together a Friday night hockey every week, and he uses he puts stats on people, I guess, and then he'll throw it into the AI, and it'll sort into teams that are supposed to be like even based on his ratings of how people. So he'll rate people 1 to 10 in their skill of hockey, right? And then the AI will spit them onto teams. But last night, I don't know what fucking points he was putting on those people, but like, I don't want to. No, they don't listen to this anyway. But like, a few of our team, like players on our team, like I couldn't even with them last night.
Like a bunch of old guys.
Just like a bunch of old, like I think my team's average age was like 50 something.
Oh shit.
Like there was 4 or 5 old bastards on our team, and they fucking wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't skate. They wouldn't fucking do anything. And there was
one of
guy
them was ripping fucking pucks by everyone's ears, and like I thought for sure I was going to get hit in the teeth with a puck. Like that guy was
my God.
ripping
That's dangerous.
them from the point. I'm like, what is this guy fucking doing? Does he know
may
his
have heard
pickup?
me. He may have heard me because like when he was doing that, that's when he like started to like try, or he actually started like being in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, while it was just firing pucks at people's heads, he like started to do something.
He hit
But,
Don
like,
in the head with the puck. Like some guy,
Holy
he
shit.
fucking fired it, and it was like, ah, and he like boom, and like glanced off his helmet.
And then there was the
I'm
other
like, what is
guy
this
who
guy
was
doing?
in front of your net, like on my team, in front of your net. He was there for like 10 fucking seconds standing there, and he didn't know what to do with the puck. And no one was getting it because he's old and he's like kind of shitty. So no one was really like attacking him or anything.
Yeah.
I yelled from the bench, like, fire the fucking puck. What are you fucking doing? Just screaming at him, just standing there for 10 seconds, not doing anything. Like, fuck, man. And then what does he do? He doesn't fire it at the net. I don't know. Like, he went to go pass it back to the D or something, and it goes all the way back in our end. Like, I was just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh my gosh.
I was so angry. And I
That's
turned to
very
Ben.
funny.
I was like, I was like, the AI made these teams? He's like, yeah. I was like, you need to update that AI.
Maybe use
Like, who is this
ChatGPT
guy?
4.
Who is this mastermind, Ozymandias, who's giving you all Madden stats in hockey and then like making them like auto assign you? Who is he? Is he actually good?
That was
my question.
That was Ben. Yeah,
Yeah,
our
he's-
buddy Ben. Yeah,
yeah, he's decent. He's a
he
good
knows.
player,
He knows
like-
where we
I mean-
all stand.
Okay.
ChatGPT couldn't do some basic math for our friggin'
That's true.
fantasy
That's true. That's true.
adventure. So why are you dependent on it to friggin' put some, to make some team
true.
lineups? I don't get
Yeah.
it.
Maybe it was its math shit last night, and it was like, and it just
It's
gave
like,
us.
whoops. I don't know. Maybe it was just an off night for some people, Maybe the numbers sometimes the numbers, they just don't
Maybe.
don't add up. But yeah.
And it didn't help that every fucking pass that came to me, my stick was just rubber banding out of my hands. Like it was like, I was like, what the? And I got so fucking angry. I was smashing my stick. Like, fuck.
Made of rubber, like one of those toy joke.
That's what it felt
joke
like. It
sticks.
felt like it was made of rubber. Like I couldn't cushion the pass. It was just like, boing.
It was very funny from our bench.
I was supposed to tell a story about this morning.
What happened this morning?
I don't have any
What
stories.
happened this morning?
I don't even know if I have the energy, but like,
This might be a am I an asshole? Am I the asshole story?
Yeah, we'll ask Phil and
It
Dave.
might be.
A little background information. Like my dad is very like always working, never stops. Hernias popping out of his body, like never stops working. Like this guy doesn't.
He's
sleep.
always moving, constantly.
Yeah,
in motion,
always,
like a
yeah.
shark.
Always.
he's like
And
a
he's
shark.
always-
Like if he stops,
Yeah.
he'll die.
Yeah. And ever since we've been growing up, he's always like stopped us from playing video games or whatever to get outside and help him to do something, right? And we're always huffing and puffing about it ever since we were kids. So then, Daniel,
Yep.
go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, I was in the middle of something in the studio, and Dad comes in and he's like, "I need your help for a second." I was like, and I hate being interrupted, like when I'm in the studio, when I'm in the middle of something. Okay, I hate it so much. Just to help him with some friggin' rich guy's car that he's working on in the garage that I don't care about. And anyway, so we go in there and he asks me to grab the hood because he's taking the hoods off the hinges. Or the hood off the hinges, I should say.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I've got to grab the end of the hood between the fender at the near the windshield and make sure
Put it on
doesn't
your shoulder.
wrench the paint on the fender. So I've got to put my fingers between it and I've got to support it while we take the nuts out of the hinges. And he's like, "Okay, grab it here, support with your shoulder." I was like, okay. So I go to move, I'm holding it with my right hand. I go to move my left shoulder under the hood.
You idiot.
I was just like this, right? I was like, like this. I'm just like holding the
he's
hood
like
because I
bending
thought,
himself into a pretzel.
no, I was just like left shoulder under the hood and holding
Same
because I was like, I
side
thought he was gonna.
shoulder.
I know
Same
that. He had to
side.
demonstrate it after. But anyway, I figured he was removing the nuts. So what the hell do I got to see anything for? So he's like the other shoulder. I was like, what? And I'm
funny.
tired. I'm not visualizing this, right? So he's like, the other shoulder. I was like, what do you mean the other shoulder? How am I gonna? And he has to walk all the way over and demonstrate.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. Oh, so he's like, I'll hand you the ratchet to loosen the hinge or loosen the nut.
Oh my God.
I was
He's
like, okay. So
trusting
he gives me
You
the
have to use
ratchet.
power tools? Have you ever used a power
Well, I
tool
used
before,
the-
dude?
I use the impact gun all the time, but he hands me the ratchet and I fit the socket.
Like scratch to the side of the car. Like Garth on Wayne's World.
Just puts it down and walks away.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm like, get this, okay? I put the ratchet, I fit the ratchet on the socket and I push the friggin' trigger.
Oh no.
And I'm securing it so that, nothing moves when I'm doing it. And I start pushing the trigger and all that happens is air comes out of the hose. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like the ratchet isn't turning. And I was like, well, what's going on? And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, what do you mean, what am I doing? I'm trying to get the nut off like you told me to do. So I'm pushing the trigger and nothing's happening. And he's just like mom and dad are like watching me fumble because mom has to come out and hold the hood too. So they're just watching me awkwardly fumble with this
God.
ratchet
Family
and nothing's
holding this
happening
hood.
when I'm pushing the trigger.
I think you weren't pushing
he's-
it hard enough.
Yeah.
No, that is not it. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. You put the friggin' thing on the nut,
Yeah, but it could
and
be
you
like a
push the trigger.
two-stage. It's like if it goes down far enough, then it engages. There's
I
like a
don't think
little
so.
a metal thing. Is it the big one? The 3/4 inch
No,
drive?
it was just kind of the lightsaber
It's like a
hilt
skinny
shaped
long one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a 2-stage. You
Well,
might not
anyway,
be pressing
you think
the
he told me
fucking
that? No. Do you think I know how that works? No. I'm like, what are you? I'm doing what you told me to do, and then he's like, it's like this. I got this hood leaning on my shoulder, and he's like, ratchet toward me. I'm like, what? Ratchet toward me. And I'm like, what does that mean? Ratchet toward you. I was like, what do you think I'm doing? Like, I'm torquing it toward you and I'm pushing the trigger. How much harder does this have to be? So nothing's happening. I'm getting so frustrated.
Oh my God.
And then, like, it's not working. And he goes, oh, come on, Daniel. I was just over there and he's like, I just loosened this nut. And I was like, I don't know what you want me to do. So he had to like tighten up his nut, come over, do some experience sleight of hand thing that I don't know how to do because I'm not a grease monkey.
you know what?
Hey,
Wow.
You can't say that about us.
Wow. You know what though? It's actually Dad's fault for never making you lift a tool in your goddamn life.
We'll blame
So-
Dad.
It's
We'll
his own
blame
fault.
I
Dad
don't
for this
blame you,
one.
Daniel. I blame Dad for making us do all the work and make you go play your piano.
Yeah.
The most
Tickle the
technical,
ivory.
We're all different.
like, we're all different. We're all different. I'm on your side, Daniel. I don't know how to do shit with a car.
Ratchet
Wow.
toward me, Nick. Ratchet toward me.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. What do you mean, right or left? What do you mean,
Man,
counterclockwise?
all I can tell you is I felt horrible for getting angry at both of them, like, or in front of both of them. Like, I felt horrible, but I think he just forgets something so effortless for him doesn't come so effortlessly to others because you know it doesn't lead to very thorough explanations when you just assume that somebody knows what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just like me explaining how to do things in video games to Pam. She's like, it's easy, Pam. You just do this, and this.
But Pam,
And she's like,
she's a pro gamer. She's playing Diablo 4, man. She's a sweat. She's one of the
She
sweats,
was.
gamer sweats, right?
she was, yeah.
She was. No one's playing that anymore.
No one's playing
That's
Diablo
true.
4 anymore.
That's true.
Come on.
Ugh,
And if
They
you
just
are,
hate
what are
to
you
see
doing?
it.
What are you
They just patched it twice to increase XP. They put
that's too late. Sorry. It's been out for how many months?
They've like rolled it back pretty much to where it was before. Anyhow,
All right. Well, let's go into game time then.
Let's do it.
Transition. Okay. Well, what have we been playing, gentlemen? Gentlemen?
Well, obviously,
Obviously.
Starfields.
Although, since we last recorded, I haven't said this on this podcast. We were on your show, and I said this.
Friday Night Gamecast.
Friday Night Gamecast.
I beat Baldursgate 3. I
Hey,
have
yo.
completed it, and it was very, very good. Very, very good. So if you're listening to this, or if you're on this podcast and stopped playing Baldur's Gate 3 to play Starfield, you may want to revisit.
Yeah,
Just
I'll be jumping back.
say it was, for me, I think it's my game of the year. Like, it was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Really?
Just because the story and like the stuff that's happening in the game. Very, very gripping. It's gripping. It gripped me, you know?
Jonathan, I'm so curious about this though. When it comes to story, like in narratives, in plots, do you err on something being like more of a grounded, realistic experience, or something that's more interconnective, like an old school Lord of the Rings?
Just the amount of compelling. Is compellingness a word? Is that a word?
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
we get a check on this? Just how compelling.
As long as the
it is.
story is compelling.
Yeah, just because like, and the amount of decisions that I had to make where I was like, fuck.
Yeah, like you sit
What do
there
I
and you
do?
actually.
What do I
They
choose?
put you in really hard places.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, shit, I have to fucking choose this? Ugh. And I would like sit there for like minutes deliberating.
Yeah,
and
'cause
then
you don't know
you
what's
see
gonna
what
happen
happens,
after.
and then I was like, "Oh my god, that was crazy!" Like, and
You're telling
like,
me you
there's
don't look up guides to see the result tree, the outcome tree, and make
never.
your decisions based on that?
Not ever.
No.
No,
never. Never. Okay.
A lot of people do that. Definitely people do
what I'm
that. I think
talking
my
about.
buddy just
Yeah.
said that he does that with, I think he did that with Cyberpunk because he's kind of like
Oh, really?
Will.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know you could just like look up a tree. Is there a
Oh
tree?
yeah, and
It's
I
less
have
like,
the
well,
guy.
some people do it. Yeah.
You're gonna look up the Baldur's Gate tree. It's gonna be a fucking
It's like a
Forest.
fucking spider web of
right.
branching
The
theories.
Cyberpunk-
Yeah.
The Cyberpunk outcomes are a lot more digestible. Like if you look, I have my guide behind me, and there are those options, and you can see that there's like 3 or 4 outcomes. So like it's pretty easy to read each one and be like, okay, that happens if you choose this, and that happens. So that was
Really?
really cool.
Your
but
guide
some
has
people
all of
just
that
do
in
that.
it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like, I'm sorry, but nothing's touched the way Baldur's Gate spiders. You know what I mean? Like all those
Yeah.
choices, like it's fucking insane.
But yeah.
So crazy. Like I
And
don't
then
think
it all manifests at the end. So depending
Yeah,
on what
exactly,
you do, like
yeah.
you're going to see a little cutscene for every one of the characters that like were kind of affected by you and whatever you decided to do. So that was super cool. It was just very, very cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, so was it my turn? Was I talking or were?
yes. Well,
Yeah.
you
I
are
interrupted
talking.
you, but yeah, you were talking.
But
No,
anyway,
but it was
okay, I did that.
Jonathan's-
Yeah, I just don't know whose turn it was.
Well, this is
but
your
I
turn.
also just rolled credits this afternoon on Starfield as well. How do you like
Let's
that?
go.
How do you
Let's
like
go.
that?
All
Two
right.
Wow.
giant
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
So yeah, 2 big games completed.
Wow,
You
guys.
know, that's a big deal. I'm ready for. I guess I
What is
will
it? What's
probably go
next?
back in.
Phantom Liberty. Holy shit.
Yeah, Phantom Liberty. I'm ready.
There's too many
Holy
games,
smokes.
guys.
There's too
You
many
know, I
games.
could
There's too many damn
I
games.
could see myself beating Starfield main story before Phantom Liberty comes out. I feel like I could do that.
yeah. Well, you got what? 2 weeks?
2 weeks. There's
week?
no way I would probably, get as
When's it
far
come
as
out?
I would ever
26th,
want anything else.
something?
But
Week
we could
and a half.
definitely do the mains.
Or do you think you're going to go back to Baldur's Gate, Daniel, after you do your Phantom Liberty run, you think?
I would like to. I know that that's
Yes,
probably
it's so good.
definitely the lower one on the list, just because like I'm kind of new to the world and I don't have the same they don't have the same attachment to it as I do.
Yeah.
Obviously, of course, a new Bethesda game and Cyberpunk. So I would like to for sure. It would be, and I am very curious, like Will, to play it on PlayStation 5 too. Though I'm curious to see what that looks like. Do I want to spend the money to try it? No.
You already
but-
spent the money.
Yeah.
I know, but I like my console gaming. I don't know.
I heard it doesn't run real great on PS5.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll see.
Is it out
There's no.
on
I'm not
PS5
making
already?
any decisions, but
I think.
Well,
so.
yeah, the Cyberpunk,
think
the
so.
original Cyberpunk is
Starfield.
on PS5. Yeah.
No.
Not
Baldur's
Baldur's
Gate
Gate.
came out. I know,
Yeah,
but it
okay.
came out the same day Starfield came out. No, on PS5.
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it is out. Yes.
Yes.
All right,
It is out.
Who's next?
Hey, who's next? Hey,
Nick,
hey,
go
hey.
for it, Nick.
I'll jump in there. I haven't been playing anything but Starfield. That's all I've been
Me
doing.
too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I want to say
Okay.
that I've been playing other indies and other games and stuff, but work has been pretty busy, and I've kind of narrowed my focus down because I was playing 1,000,001 games. But I've narrowed my focus down to kind of Starfield exclusively, and I've just kind of gotten lost in that world, completing all kinds of faction quests.
Fuck yeah.
Went through, we can get into this later because we're going to talk about the game, but yeah, just having a blast with it. And, I am so happy that this is released this year. Obviously, Xbox has something that they can show up to the Game Awards with, and I think that this is going to be one of the games for them where something has to be nominated because of just the inherent quality that's in the game so far. And I think that
Yeah.
it's there, to see Phil Spencer walk on stage would be validation to kind of like all of the weird like console fanboys, and just to be like, hey, like, they're showing up to have a conversation with PlayStation at the same time. And it's like, you still can't forget about Xbox, and it's too early to write them out of the whole situation. So I'm really excited to see where they go from here. I'm even more interested based on what we've already played. I don't think that they will, but Bethesda doesn't really shy away from DLC. So I'd be even more kind of
no, they
interested
don't,
to
yeah.
see what kind of DLC comes out. But even on top of that, I'm even more interested to see what the modding community is going to come out with. Because if you look at Skyrim
wait.
today, they have entire storylines. You guys have seen the clips that we've all shared amongst each other about that one like Skyrim update that looks like a literal Dark Souls battle between a high elf vampire and like some character, and just it looks absolutely insane. So I'm only going to imagine what Starfield is going to be like 10
In
years from
10
now.
years, yeah. It's
Didn't somebody
insane.
make a Lord of the Rings mod for Skyrim,
Yeah.
Daniel?
It's
It
still
was
going,
supposed to be
but-
for Oblivion first.
Oh,
It was
Oblivion.
supposed to be for Oblivion first, and the screenshots were like out of this world. Like it was back in like 2012, I think, when I lived with you guys, and
Can't
I
imagine
was
the
looking
work.
up screenshots, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool that it like took you through the Shire and like what the Shire was going to look like, all in Oblivion graphics, and it was called Middle Earth Role Playing MERP. MERP, and they got a cease and desist letter from
Yes,
Warner
yeah.
Bros to stop, just cut it out, drop it.
Why?
Immediately.
Like he's not making money. They're not making money off of it.
I
So
know.
like,
Unless
I know.
How is it
Warner Brothers is
legally-
attributing every new sale of Skyrim towards infringing on their copyright.
oh, maybe.
So
knows?
if it's available on consoles
it's,
and
like,
stuff, they're
associated.
probably going to take the at large to the public argument and be like, hey,
yeah.
if people
Right,
can use
right.
mods across all platforms, that's our copyright and you didn't pay us for it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they were going
Smart.
to port it to Skyrim. They had plans to, and then I think that's when it got shut down, and it was never to be. And I was very sad.
boo.
yeah, it looked crazy.
Kinda
But it was
sucks.
like a full like quest, like a whole quest line, and like
Yeah,
it was basically.
I think
a
they
game
said. I think
inside
they
the
said
game.
it would have taken place at a long parallel to the events of the books of the Lord of the Rings, and you
cool.
would have been like assisting Frodo, kind of in whatever way. You would just been another character that you create that has some
Neat.
part to play in the story. So fuck, it would have been awesome.
Gotta
know
get
what's
them through the
crazy?
Forbidden Forest. Yeah. Why do we need a Lord of the Rings mod in Skyrim when we have Gollum, guys? We got Gollum. You know what I mean? That's what
I'm
we
waiting.
need to play.
I'm waiting
Daniel's
until
gonna
that's
play
like
it.
$5
Daniel,
and I'll
he
get
will
it, yeah.
play it. Daniel will play it.
If it comes
Really?
out for
Make
cheap
him.
as shit, I will spend the money and play it just to talk about it.
We
on the
should
show.
all just
Absolutely.
pitch in and $5 and buy. How much is it? $40? I don't know what the fuck. It's
gotta be like-
Fuck, I'm not spending $40 on that thing.
I don't
Yeah.
know
not
who
each,
eats
till it's
but if we
$10.
just give Daniel $10 and he'll go play it, so we don't have to.
True.
I really
I
tried
will.
my
He has
hardest.
to, he'll have to fucking play it if I buy it for him.
What's
It's
that, Nick?
sitting. It's sitting on Steam right now for $50, which is
Yeah.
criminal. It is criminal.
The
Do
studio
not
even
buy-
closed down.
Oh
How
my
are
God.
they charging
Daedalic
$50?
Entertainment doesn't even exist anymore. I don't even
Yeah,
understand how
exactly.
they're selling the game, but I guess it's the publisher's
Closed
property.
because the game was so bad. They
Yeah.
closed.
Yeah, basically,
Apparently.
yeah.
What?
That was the story that came out. Essentially, is they released it, and there was so much backlash about Gollum that the studio executives were just like, we have to shut y'all down. And they had made like so many other games before this, and it was a German studio, and maybe they were on their last leg financially. So it just,
I felt so bad when I heard that, though. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
I felt bad when I
felt
just
bad.
heard that right now. I just felt bad.
yeah.
It's
Can
like
you imagine?
I watched
like,
a lot of reviews for it, and everyone kept saying like the common consensus was it felt like the game was made with another main character in mind, and then they're like, oh, Gollum will sell title or Gollum will sell the game, so they just like plugged Gollum into the main like character slot and altered a few things and then shipped it. Like that's what it felt like from all the reviews that I've watched, and I was like, man,
yeah.
Oh,
I hate to see it. I just like them to go back and return to the Shadow of War formula, but
oh man, so
isn't that
good.
studio done too?
Isn't that
I don't know.
Monolith?
Who
Isn't
made
that
that?
Monolith?
Look that up. Let's look
Monolith?
that up right now.
Monolith? I don't know why that.
What
comes
else
into
did
my
they
head.
make? We had this conversation not too long ago, I thought.
Monolith.
Yeah, it was
Productions?
Monolith Productions and Behavior Interactive who made that.
think
I
they
did
still
play
does.
this Shadow of War. I played Shadow of Mordor and I beat it, and I just didn't pick up
The
War
story
yet. I
is
still
so
haven't picked up
good.
War.
The story is really good in those too. Just if
I
you're
like
like
the
fans of
first
Lord of
one
the
a
Rings,
lot.
like it's like a continuation kind of, and like more information on the background of everything, because you get like
Yeah.
possessed by the spirit of Celebrimbor, who is the the smith, the smith who Sauron manipulated to forge
Yeah.
the rings of power.
Okay,
And,
well, speaking of Rings of Power, did you guys watch that show? Did you enjoy that Amazon
I
series?
liked it.
Yes,
Okay.
I
I liked it
very
better than
much.
I thought I
enjoyed it.
would for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
I was like,
better than I
okay,
thought,
I will
yeah.
continue watching this. That was the
Yeah,
consensus.
it was
I
just
think.
really nice to look at. It was so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of things that were kind of that were in line with everything. It's just kind of the other stuff that they kind of added a little weird, kind of weird things in there that that they had to add for whatever, to make it more, like the
Crowd-pleasing.
romances and all that shit.
Right.
But it was good. I enjoyed
The
it.
makeup
I enjoyed
was great.
every episode. Yeah, the wardrobe, the
The
makeup,
orcs.
the production
Orc
value
makeup
was,
was incredible.
It was through the roof.
Some of
well, it's
the
the most
armor was
expensive show
dumb.
ever made. It was even more expensive than Game of Thrones.
okay. Well, it was very polished.
Yeah.
And it looked great. So, I mean, I enjoyed it other than that as well, but I will keep watching it for sure. I won't keep watching
but-
The Wheel of Time, probably.
Oh my God! I was just about to
you
bring that
bouncing
up.
off of that?
I brought that.
I watched the
go
first
to
season. I
Alma.
was like,
Yeah, it's like the story is so good too, and like you watch the show, you're like, it's so
yes. It was just very meh.
just like- okay.
And the ending of the first season was just kind of
Yeah, I was like, that was
anticlimactic,
the
and
end.
nothing
I was
really
like-
happened. I was like, that's it? It's like there's
Yeah.
no more episodes. Like, this is it. Nothing,
Yeah.
really, nothing even happened. Like, it just ended.
I'm gonna watch
in that show
I'm gonna watch
again?
the second
Who's in it?
season. Nobody.
Well, who was it? Who was it?
Rosamund.
What was her name? She
Rosamund
plays a
Pike.
heist.
Rosamund Pike. Oh, she's great. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like the only good
yeah.
one also in
in
the
Bond,
show.
actually. She was actually
Yeah,
in
that's right.
Pierce Brosnan's Bond, the one with Halle
right.
Berry.
Yeah,
She's
Die
in-
That
Another
was
Day.
one of my
Reacher.
favorites.
Yes,
Those are
Die
my
Another
favorites,
Day.
man.
She's in Die Another Day.
Oh,
Yes.
and she was in Johnny English Reborn.
Oh, of course. Johnny English.
Johnny English.
Oh, and Doom
And the
classic.
Doom
with The Rock.
movie. Doom 2005 with The Rock. And
Oh my God, she
Carl
was
Urban.
in that. We talk about movies. We talk about video game movie adaptations. That original Doom movie actually kind of did it for me. It kind of
I'd
did
like
it.
to
I
watch it
just
again,
saw
actually.
the preview
I'd
for
like
it.
to
I was
watch it
looking for
again.
something to watch, and I was like,
Yeah.
I saw it. I skipped over it. Then I went back to it. I was like, no. I kept
That was like
Yeah.
when The Rock was getting like really popular after
Yeah.
like the Mummies, the Scorpion King or whatever series.
I think
He
that
still had like
so
his black hair.
What is kind of one of the movies that like pushed him into the mainstream. I feel like maybe, or at least for Hollywood, in one of my opinions. So.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's
it was.
2004,
I think
so
I
it was
that
remember
era.
liking it. It was
Yeah.
Carl Urban was in it too, right?
Yeah, he was the best part of that
Yes.
film. He was the
Yeah.
Carl Urban
Yeah.
was 100% the best part of that film. But yeah, and they had the BFG and everything. Gosh, that was what a movie!
Yes,
what a
the
time to be
BFG.
alive. I just went back and started watching Blood Rain. Have you guys ever seen any of those old movies? fucking awful. Don't watch them.
Okay.
Blood Rain.
Yeah, it was basically okay. It's made by Yui Boll.
2005.
Yui Boll went through a series where he made a ton of like video game movie adaptations where he was basically just like, I'm gonna pick whatever video games seem to be catching on with the kids these days, and he basically just made it into his own image. It was just this like kind of like trashy bullshit where he sexualizes all the female protagonists. And I mean, hey, you get some racy scenes in there, but I actually like it was dumb. It was dumb. It was really bad. But
Why does that sound familiar? Nick, what was the name of that? What's the name of the Far Cry game where it's like a 80s synth wave kind of throwback? Did you hear about? Have you heard about this one?
Nave and Phil were talking about that one. Blood Rage or
Dragon? Is Blood Dragon or something? Far Cry Blood
Dragon,
something.
They were just talking about this on one of their other episodes.
I thought maybe
it's like
that
an
was
80s
like they were taking a
throwback,
page out of that book or
ridiculous
something.
Far Cry Blood Dragon. Oh yeah, you're right.
Blood Dragon. There it is.
I don't
And
know
the
what
guy
that
who
is.
does your character's voice is freaking Kyle Reese. The guy who does Kyle Reese in
No
Terminator
way.
1.
Oh,
That's
nice,
awesome.
nice.
That's fucking
I
cool.
don't remember his
man.
name.
Is
but
it- and is it
apparently
also-
this is like my friend Thrillhouse played it, and he's just like, it's the best Far Cry ever.
Yeah.
It looks like a Far Cry 3 DLC is what this looks
Yeah.
I
like.
haven't played Far
Yeah,
Cry
it
since
could be.
Far Cry 3.
Phil and Nave were talking about it on Gaming Together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I
yeah.
heard them talking about that because I remember that's where I heard it recently in conversation. And I thought maybe it had something to do with this Blood Rain thing, and maybe there was, I don't know, tie-in. But anyway,
Blood Rain was actually an early PS1 title. It was kind of like jumping on that wave where it's like you're this girl and there's like vampires and stuff, and you're kind of basically just
okay.
like a vampire slayer. But it was like very a la like Tomb Raider of that era, and so they were kind of like jumping on the idea of like strong female protagonists, but it was like its own identity in the in like the early 2000s for like I think the PS1, and then they came out with it, and then they made like fucking like 4 Blood Rain movies, and each was like at like even worse after the last, like, but the original one had some actually. Blood Rain cast. The original one actually had a surprising cast. Ben Kingsley. Michael Madsen was in it. Matthew Davis was also in it. They had like
Michael
some
Madsen?
actual, dude. They had some real fucking actors that were in this first movie, and it was garbage. It was terrible. It was like obviously like one of the reasons why nobody ever caught on to it ever again, because it probably pissed them off. Yeah, Udo Kier, who's like a famous like spooky character actor. He shows up in a lot of different movies, but he was in that too.
Wow.
It was so bad. It was so bad, but.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it then. We're going to talk about Starfield, okay?
Let's do it.
Transition. Diddle-doo, diddle-doo, diddle-doo. Wayne's World. Diddle-doo, diddle-doo, diddle-doo. Okay, Starfield. Now, earlier, I was going to talk about, like I said, Baldur's Gate was my game of the year, but now with Starfield, you said Xbox has something to bring to the table. Do you think the jankiness and the bugs would affect that at all, or is it just like separate?
Oh, it's not game of the year.
Probably.
It's not going to be game
I
of the year.
can't. I love it so much, but it's not going to win Game of the Year because
No, it's not. But like,
It's a shame though.
It's not because of the bugs, though. That's what I'm,
No, it's not because it's. I mean, partially. I mean, that's not out of the picture for me.
Yeah,
like it's definitely if you're looking at it from a
immersion
holistic
breaking.
perspective. Yeah, for sure. There's enough jank in there for it to be an issue, and I think people understand that like creation engine isn't going to be something that like the game industry critics as a whole are really going to love. I feel like as an industry, we have grown beyond like what the creation engine, even the 2.0 version with its FSR2 bullshit, like has to offer us. But you know, it's
like every time I go into a dialogue, the guy's facing the other way, or he's 2 inches from my fucking face. I'm like, whoa, dude.
or they just won't initiate dialogue, and so you have to
Yes.
press A like a million times to get them to actuate. To
I've
your
actually
character.
had to reboot the game. I had to reboot the
I have
game
had
because they just won't start
zero
talking. It just
problems.
shows them.
Are we talking about performance now?
We can.
Is
That
that
was more of a
performance?
bug parameter.
Yeah,
This is
I
more of a
was
bug.
kind of
That would be performance.
I was kind of trying
I
to
guess
like
we
look
can,
at
We
it.
can put this under performance.
Yeah. I just think that like by comparison, because everything is going to be judged against each other, right? And all of the games that have come out this year have been so like from a performance and quality standpoint on such a high level. Tears of the Kingdom, even though it's running on that tired old Nintendo Switch, still ran beautifully.
Yep.
And then you have games like Final Fantasy 16, which actually went out of their way to like focus on visuals and performance to such a like a deep degree from the ground up. And then you have obviously Baldursgate 3 rearing its ugly head. And I mean, I haven't heard anybody say anything about jank in that game.
Yep. No, it's like
So
there
Not
might have
really,
been like
no.
one or two things that
I fell through the floor a couple times,
something like
but
that.
yeah.
2 times in like 70 hours. So
Yeah, I think that like, and even then, you think about games like Spider-Man 2 coming out, and Insomniac, they never really fail when it comes to because they only have PS5 to worry about in that first case, so that makes their job
Yeah.
easier from the
Yes.
jump. Even though Bethesda only really had to worry about Xbox and then Windows, but I
and
think
Series
that-
X and Series S.
yeah,
So it's
So they-
it is
so they had a
3
bigger job in
platforms. It's like
scope.
3 platforms still. But
still,
if we
yeah.
want to talk about performance, this is going to all be underperformance, obviously. But it didn't perform as much as high as I would have liked, given my hardware. You know what I mean? Like I have a high-end computer. I would say it's less than 3 years old.
and you played on the Steam version of Starfield.
Steam, yeah, I played Steam. You know what? I have $1,000 graphics card. 3 years ago was $1,000, and I can't get 60 frames per second in this game. Like, come on.
You have a
Come on.
3080.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
like I get like 40 to 50 FPS.
But I mean, they said
In
at the
most
jump
places.
that it was going to target 60. Like they already said up front, even during like the promotional period, that they said if you got 60, you'd be lucky.
Yeah, well, they said
Right.
they're going to lock it at 30 on console, right?
Yeah.
For X and S.
Yeah,
So
and
I
I
was
will
like-
say that like because even though I still think that the application, I don't know what the tech is behind like running it natively on Steam versus launching it through the Game Pass like launcher itself. I feel like there's a little bit of like cloud stuff that's worked into that, but even playing it on the Game Pass launcher themselves, I said it on a different show too, but like it's remarkably better when you play it on like the Game Pass PC version versus when I have to
Really?
sit there. Yeah, I'm loading it on my Series X and it's taking me like 5 minutes to actually like go in there and load into the game. So it's just it's strange because I don't know I don't know why it's like it takes that long to kind of do the back end processing. And even then,
Yeah.
like the difference between playing it on the PC and like going in between, like we said, the million loading screens that you hit, if you go into the ship or if you go into a bar or something like that, you open a door to another area, like the loading is much shorter than what you'll get on the console, I think.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's just
we had
the hardware
Yeah.
is just better.
Yeah.
It's just better than console, you know. But yeah, I had to like really dial in the settings. It's like, okay, am I getting this? You know, getting this many frames, and I guess that's good enough. But I don't want to drop my resolution. I don't want to use upscaling. I refuse. I refuse to use upscaling.
Your fuse.
Yeah. So
So
when
how do you turn it off? How do you turn it off is my question.
just
You
turn
just go to
off,
the settings in the game and turn
yeah,
off.
there's an actual
upscaling?
upscaling. I think switch.
I don't know if you can do that in console, Daniel. Can you? I don't think so.
Oh, not on console.
No.
This is on PC. You can turn it off, or you can use
Refuse
FSR,
to use.
I refuse to use the upscaling, and like I said, on mostly high settings, I get between like, I've seen it dip down to 38 frames per second.
Yeah.
Oh
38.
yeah, I hover in between 40 and 45, even on the PC frames. I think so.
Like, I think-
why?
I think the biggest thing, my issue was the gauge of how many frames, like the fluctuation in frames, like
The range,
I just
yeah.
got my new 7900 XTX, okay, and now my CPU is bottlenecking, so I'll have to take care of that a little bit later. But the thing is with this $1,500 card, I'm getting in some places 45 FPS. You know, in some places, and then in other places, I'm getting 110. Like,
I mean, you say that. You say, yeah, well, like, it's like it'll go to a loading screen and it'll jump up to like 125 frames. Is
No,
what
no. I
happened
mean,
for
like
me.
in like a
Yeah,
cave.
I see that
you know what
too,
I mean?
yeah.
Like if it's a smaller scoped area,
Yeah.
the frames will shoot up, right?
Really?
But then I
Okay.
go to like main city. What's it? Oh, the worst I think is the Cowboy City. It has the worst
Aquila?
frames.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It has even
Interesting.
worse frames than
A lot of
the,
shadows. It's dark. A lot of.
yeah, I don't know, but that one gets down to like 45, 50, and I can feel it. It's like mud.
Yeah.
And going through it, I'm like, fuck this. And then when I get into space and I go to another town or another spot, like on a planet, and I'm like exploring, I'm at like 80, 90, you know?
Right.
Like, it's just that fluctuation that pisses me off. That's the thing that pisses me off. We have a comment on one of our shorts. Okay, I have a short on YouTube about them talking about optimization on PC. And someone comments, it's 2023. Most AAA games that are being brought out recently can't be played on max settings with current hardware many people have. 30 FPS, he says, he thinks is the standard for new games, not 60 FPS, especially full feature RPG games like Starfield, Elden Ring, etc. If you want 60 FPS minimum, you either have to meet or you have to wait until your tech gets better down the road, or you're just going to have to dump a bunch of money into your PC to play it. He says, I had a
It's just not
3090
true, though.
No way.
no way. He says I had a 3090 when Cyberpunk was released, and it wasn't 60 FPS then either, and that was 3 years ago. Okay, but I was saying, and I
But
replied to him,
Cyberpunk is different. Cyberpunk is the fucking benchmark, and
Yeah.
it has ray tracing. This doesn't even have ray tracing.
Yeah.
dude.
Also true.
It doesn't even have a
what is
brightness
this?
slider in the settings.
Yeah, it doesn't even have HDR.
so like I do think they will be, because even on some Reddit posts, some game like hobbyist developers have found certain things in the drivers that they're like, why did they do it this way? Or they have it in,
Oh, really?
they've seen some of the code in the game and they're like, this is reading wrong. Like, why would they have done it this way? And they've actually tested it on like Linux drivers, and they've actually boosted performance just by changing this like couple of lines of code, how the game reads off the GPU in a certain way. I'm like super dumbing it down. I didn't really understand how it worked, but people have found that some code doesn't make sense. And you can find it on Reddit. I'll maybe put it in the comments.
Wow,
But like
that is
but
upsetting.
even yeah, right. So I don't believe they optimized it. It was a fucking
no way.
straight up port right from console to PC, and they fucking left it. You can tell in the graphics settings, there's nothing there.
You mean to tell me, Nate, that you don't believe Todd Howard? He said you need to upgrade your PC. You're telling me you don't
I
believe
did.
that, man?
Are you
I
sure
upgraded
about
it.
that? Are you sure about that?
Guys, they're calling him. He's now God Howard. Okay, that's what they're calling him. Now.
Wow. Okay. Jeez. Now he's sitting in his throne
everywhere. I
at the
just
Bethesda
spit
office.
all over the fucking place.
Fuck's sake.
Are you shitting me right now?
Oh man. But I think
We did optimize it. You just have to upgrade your PC. Fucking
Yeah,
okay,
that's
Todd.
pretty much
Shut
it.
your mouth. Like
That's pretty
and
much
that's the
it.
thing is that what bothers me about it is that in my mind, the way that I was thinking about it, I thought that there was an entire battalion of Xbox drones that were out there that were working over code and working this game over and over again just to
Yeah,
see
like,
what
what
would
the
be
fuck
good
are
or
they
not.
doing?
And
But like,
Yeah.
just
be
the
awesome.
mods that have come out in the last 2 weeks. There's performance mods. There's things that like alter the shadows. Like
Performance
like,
modes.
mods.
yeah.
Mods. I've heard of mods.
But like, if they can do it, obviously they didn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I
But
believe it. I 100% believe it because no way I'm getting 40 FPS. Like,
Yeah,
are you fucking kidding me?
and even like 30 FPS on console, I find that like hard to believe in like what resolution they're rendering it at. Like 30 FPS in this game, if it's on high settings, like you're still gonna need quite a fucking
Was
monster.
there, was
You're
there,
talking
was
about
there ever
performance right now.
was there ever did they ever announce saying that, we're going to delay it as long as we need to, blah, blah, blah? Like, did they say that?
Well, yeah.
No, I don't.
It was
I don't
what
think
Phil
they
said.
said- Oh,
No?
okay.
I like because
Phil kind of
I don't
framed
remember.
it like it's not ready. We needed more time to work on it because it was supposed to come out last year, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
but it was
Yep.
really
Yeah, I think-
not ready. And then they got an extra year of dev time that I think
maybe
probably
they just
served
didn't
them
want
pretty
to
well.
do it again. You know,
Oh, yeah.
they didn't want to delay it again. So they were
Yeah.
like, okay, well, let's just
like-
lock it at 30 on consoles, and you know, PCs
port it
will
over.
have to be really good. Just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it's interesting. Sorry to cut you off, Nate. I knew you were going to say something, but we recently had a conversation with our most recent show that came out with Dave from Tales from the Backlog. He jumped on, and we were talking about FromSoft and Soulsborne. And one of the conversations, part of the conversation that we were having is that there's a mentality now that is clearly present in FromSoft, in their game development company, because they release games now knowing that obviously they lean into what their strengths are. And their strengths are gameplay, level design, combat difficulty, art design, all of that. They lean into it, but they release these games with the understanding. And I was kind of approaching it with the question of, you have to do a lot of work to understand those worlds, right? And he made a very salient point to say that, FromSoft knows when they release games that there are people in the community that are going to do the work for them. When it comes to people like Vati Video, who are going to sit there and piece together the different, stories and kind of explain to you in depth and serve it to you the way that a normal game would in other situations. And what I think is interesting about that is I feel like Bethesda is doing the same thing, but just for the performance of their
Yes,
game,
yeah,
not the
for
story. So it's really interesting because they know that modding and the modding community is so kind of it's flourishing in Bethesda games, and they just love to mod their games because of the, good ideas that they put into it. And so it almost makes me wonder, did they forsake all of that just to say, oh, modders, you get something else that you get to do. We can
see
release
that.
it in the state and it's fine. We don't have to worry about it because the modders will pick it up,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So that's not the mods we're getting aren't even through the game's code. Okay, so next year they're releasing the actual official modding support, modding support for the game. Right now it's just INI files you're tweaking, you're injecting a few files here and there. But next year they're going to be sending out the actual mod pack for official mod support. So next year, you think the mods are good now? By this time next year, holy shit, it's going to be insane.
You're gonna need an even crazier computer to fucking play them.
Or they might fix everything, right? They might actually be able to get to the code of the game and actually put in correct code.
Yeah.
But all in all, though, it runs good. It runs good. It's steady. I'm just kind of pissed that I was expecting a little bit more with my hardware that I'm running, but
It is still janky though. It's got that
it's janky as fuck. But
that fucking classic.
I'm averaging 60 FPS at a 4K a scaled resolution. It's not true 4K. It's scaled, resolution scaled. What was happening is on 2K resolution, my GPU wasn't hitting 100% utilization. It was at 80%. So my GPU still wanted to give some juice, but my CPU wouldn't let it. In other words, because my CPU's bottlenecking.
It was bottlenecking, yeah.
So I'm okay, well, the only real thing you can do in this situation is crank the resolution, but I can't do that because I only have a 2K resolution screen.
You know what it sounds like, Nate, that you need? You need to get on Newegg and you need to add Threadripper to your cart, okay? That's what you need to do if you want to fucking enjoy Starfield, man.
You need the 7800X 3D with a new motherboard. And
that's
a
it.
new RAM.
$1,000.
You need
Another
DDR5.
$1,000.
I want
I
the
already quoted
godlike
it out.
motherboard that has 6
Fuck
PCIe slots in it.
Yeah, it's $900.
That's
I was
$10.
what?
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I was telling him about the other day. I'm there's a $900 motherboard. It's what in the fuck?
I don't know what.
But it's
it's
for
gold plated.
Those are for insane overclockers.
Overclocking, yeah. So after I made that tweak, I'm getting 100% utilization on the GPU, which is nice, and I've got a few extra frames.
Yeah,
But it doesn't give me more FPS. It just
makes it look better.
It looks better, but
Yeah.
keeps it at the same FPS. But my GPU is now getting worked, So it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay.
Well, I can tell you that console performance is adequate.
Yes.
More than adequate. It's 30 FPS, obviously, but I have had no real bugs, no weird ass jank.
Really? No jank.
Yeah, I don't have. There was that one time when you guys were over that weekend and you were watching me play, and one of the UC security guards didn't turn to face me right away. That was probably the first time you saw that.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then they
that happens all the
slowly
time.
turn around. That's
They're
like
like,
the biggest
and their
thing
eyes are
I've
like-
had. That's the biggest thing I've had. I've had no
Interesting.
real frame rate issues. The occasional thing where if you just like once you load into, I don't know if it's New Atlantis or something, and you it's just like a bit of a stutter, and then that's it. It'll happen in a town here and there, but the frame rate is so consistent. I'm finding I've had just it's not nothing. What's the word? Jarring enough for me to notice. It's pretty consistent all the way through, and I don't have any that many bugs. It's a good 30. It's not as good as Cyberpunk's 30 because I did an A/B and back and forth, and I was like, wow, okay, this is still like night and day, but. It just, you
How
don't
does that
notice
make
anything.
sense? Like, what does
Man,
that mean?
in
It's because
Starfield.
they're fucking masters over there. at
How is
CD
30
Projekt
FPS
Red.
different?
Just the way they handle the
30
motion.
Yes, man.
FPS.
It's the way that
That's it,
it's
man.
just the way it's. I don't know. It just
motion,
feels.
Well,
the way it feels. And
AMD actually has a tech on their driver that if you switch it on, it will lower resolution while you're turning.
Huh.
While you're turning the camera, it'll lower the resolution to make it smooth. And then it'll pop back to native resolution once your camera's like steady again.
Still.
Wow.
In Cyberpunk?
Interesting.
In any game, you can turn it on the PC driver.
Really?
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. So like so for like first person shooters like online, you turn that on and like it just the frame rate while you're turning and like action packed scenes, it's just keeping it steady for you.
Really? Wow.
That's really interesting. Yeah, speaking of paying for overpriced equipment and not getting the results you want, I had struggled for a while to get Starfield to run on the ROG Ally.
Oh, yes.
But-
the Ally.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah.
Finally, Rob from the Game Duopod, who's a great guy, great friend of the show, he helped me out, and he was like, "Look, man, you got to make your mind because this is something I've been avoiding for a while because I just don't want yet another company to have my email and my personal information."
yes. Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
but like the Ally wanted you to set up the My ROG Ally profile on their thing and give all your stuff. Turns out you can just log in on your Google profile, which is easy, and so you just do that.
Okay.
Bing, boom, you're in. And once I did that, I was missing like a ton of updates. And there was a graphics driver update that I needed and a bunch of different things. So I updated that. I updated the Microsoft Store stuff. And then on top of that, the actual like Windows 11 tenant on the ROG Ally itself needed another update. So I did all of that. I went through the
Holy
whole
shit.
rigmarole. And then finally, I was able to run Starfield at max low settings, baby. Let's go. Wow. It was great. It was great. Everybody
But like
looked
on,
like Play-Doh.
on a
It
screen
was
that
amazing.
big, it should look pretty good. No.
Wow.
It did actually look really
Yeah.
good. I would say that like the visuals on the Ally, because they're smaller, it's going to be similar to a Switch experience, right? So it's like not going to be the most like very high performing game, but it looks similar to like what it looks like on the Series X on my OLED. And it's not as pretty like the colors, but when there are like very vibrant colors in the game, don't pop as much as they would on the TV, but still like it looks amazing and it feels good. It runs smoothly. I would say when I get into combat scenarios, especially, I think like firing the guns and that sort of thing, and just like the model renders and everything, it looks perfectly fine on the Ally. So I would say that would be a strong recommend for folks who are still in that Steam Deck Ally phase right now.
Yeah, that's what I heard about the Ally. It was kind of like, it's kind of finicky to get it going.
Well, it's
You
a
know,
Windows PC in your
It's
hand.
a Windows PC, like very small, right? Very small in your hand. So it's
Yeah.
not like, you can't be very dexterous, you know?
That
Yeah,
is
it's really it's big though. It's big though, and I have big hands. Even then, like it's like it feels
I mean, in like
comfortable
inside
to-
Windows without a mouse.
Yeah, it's
You
all
know what I mean?
touchscreen.
Like
it's all
touchscreen
touchscreen though.
trackpad. Windows isn't really made for touchscreen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not.
It's
not.
Windows 8 was. Remember
yes,
that?
it was. I remember that. Yeah, Windows 8.
What a piece of shit.
All right, let's talk about the controls then. I was playing on controller because at first I was playing on mouse and keyboard, but I was like noticing that I was noticing that I would rather just kind of sit back and play this game, you know?
Yes.
Kind of just sit back like this.
Yeah, not like the mouse and keyboard sweatiness of Baldur's Gate 3, am I right?
Yes. I didn't like the controller layout on Baldur's Gate 3. I didn't
Really?
I much preferred the keyboard and mouse. But the controller is fine. And I noticed that you don't notice the frame rate dropping as much when you're on controller.
Yes. Yep. I completely agree.
If you're playing mouse and keyboard, you feel it. You feel the lag. You feel it with your whole arm because your whole arm has moved already. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't, if it's not right with it, then you can tell it's not 60. You just can tell. But with a controller on your thumb, you don't really notice it as much. So I'm just.
Oh my god! If I had like 50 FPS on console, I'd be in fucking heaven.
Yeah,
that'd be sweet.
Yeah,
but sometimes 60 is weird though.
It'd be sweet.
60 is weird. Sometimes it's like too clean for me. I like a little bit of the cinematic stutter. You know what I mean? That kind of. Anyway,
I tried both. I say I'm in the same boat as Jonathan. I felt more comfortable with the controller, like just holding it, leaning back, relaxing. The keyboard and mouse, I found like the layout of the buttons and what I had to press to get things done was kind of annoying. Go ahead.
What about the dead zone? It's awful.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's fucking awful.
It's the worst.
Like I had to download a mod to change the dead zone of the joystick. Because it's at like 30% or something crazy.
It's terrible.
Like you have to move the stick like a third of the freaking way before it does anything.
I have that written here. I wish there were more advanced stick parameters. Example,
horrible.
Dead zone.
The dead zone. Yeah. Like every game where you are aiming anything, literally anything, you should have a fucking dead zone option. A dead zone setting. Why don't they do that?
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, for example, we changed the INI file and I went down to like 2%. 3%. I tried 4%. I was like, no, and it still kept.
That's a lot. 4% is a lot, man.
I know, but like,
and it was at like 30 default.
So mine doesn't move. Mine doesn't move at 10%.
Oh, the stick drift.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's another reason why they don't do it. Obviously, is because not every controller has the same center. Like center.
So they just put it out here. So all the controllers live in here.
Okay, I guess
they just
no
make
one will have
massive.
dead zone. No one will have stick drift because we'll put this dead zone at 50%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's so interesting. I really didn't notice that in my playthrough at all. I felt everything was kind of snappy and responsive.
Oh yeah.
I'm noticing it when I'm.
Are you plugged in? USB? No, eh?
We're just playing through my series.
Sometimes if I just let go of my
2.
controller, he's like moving backwards.
Interesting. Yeah, that doesn't happen to me at all.
Off.
That doesn't happen to me at all.
And like, sometimes I fought with it.
So because you have stick drift, because Xbox Elite is a piece of shit controller.
No, it's not even the Elite. It's my
it's the Starfield one. Oh man,
you don't like the Xbox Elite controllers, Jonathan? You don't like them?
They're garbage.
He hates them
I
all.
love this thing. It feels so good.
I love
it feels so good in my hand. I also changed the
Hall sensing.
I just created a new profiles on the Xbox accessories app, and then I changed my ADS
Is that the core?
and my Fire. Yeah, this is the core.
Yeah, the software is really good on that on the app for the Elite. It's really good. It has all of those things that you want in game, but you never get. But it doesn't matter if your game is filtering out the dead zone at 30% anyway. Like you can set your dead zone in the Xbox app, right? And you can set your response curve. But if the game is already
ignoring
that,
30%,
it's pointless unless it's taking the input, like passing through the input from the OS or however that works. I don't even know how it works. So I don't really know what the point of that Xbox app software is when the game is the one dictating everything. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like, there's no better game than Apex Legends. I'm just telling you right now. Go into the controller settings on Apex Legends and have a look around.
They do have a very nice control.
You literally can change everything.
If only you played Jedi Survivor and it evangelizes as much as Apex Legends, Jonathan, you know? He said absolutely not.
It's not
The most
just
controls I've
fact.
seen for controller were Cyberpunk. I didn't know what the fuck I was looking at.
Oh yeah, there's a
And
lot in
it's
there
not-
too.
There is a lot, but not even as much as Apex. Like it's
Right.
the best
Yeah.
controller game, the best feeling game on controller, hands down. It's
That's
not
why
even
everyone
an
plays it
issue.
on controller. That and
that's
the
why-
cheats.
That's why nobody is playing mouse and keyboard anymore.
Yeah.
Like, but we digress.
Yes, Nick. What about you?
Yeah. Well, he said
About the controls.
Yeah, you're all controller, eh? Did you try mouse and keyboard?
Because I'm bouncing in between all of my
Oh, okay.
platforms, whether it's like I'm coming from the PC to the Xbox. It's just for me, like mentally, and also just like muscle memory wise. I keep my controller and I carry it with me
Yeah,
from
okay.
place to place. I even have like a mount for my ROG Ally that I'll pair my Xbox controller to the Ally itself, and then just like have it kind of like as a display, and then just use that way. And I find it to be really fun. I think the haptics are actually quite nice. Whether it's getting in and docking and undocking from space stations.
I don't get that on mine because I'm using this. Fucking thing.
It has like really good haptics for it, and it, like even in what is that? What is that
This
right
is the
there?
8-bit Do Ultimate Bluetooth controller. Check out our YouTube for a review that I did. It's a Hall sensing joystick, means perfect dead zone, no stick drift.
No stick
I can
drift.
set it to 0 and there would be no stick drift. And there will never be any stick drift because of the way the sensors work. And this is how everyone should make their controllers, but nobody fucking does.
They need to be paying you, Jono. They need to be paying you, man.
Actually,
for
there's
that
one
review.
controller that came out for Xbox, just came out for Xbox.
Yes, that's
that
right.
has Hall sensing joysticks, and it's the GameSir G7. It's wired though, so if you need a wireless controller, then they don't have those. But it is the first and only Hall sensing joystick on Xbox. The G7 by GameSir, and it's supposed to be pretty good, and it's supposed to be one of the fastest responding controllers as well.
I use their controller for my phone, a mobile controller.
Oh, yeah,
GameSir
yeah.
X2 Pro.
Yeah, that is pretty
Very
cool. I will say though, in terms of when we talk about like critiquing the bindings or the way that they set it up, I really am a little bit disappointed in how like the gameplay when you're doing ship to ship combat feels. Or if you're flying around in Starfield, I'm a little bit disappointed at kind of like how one-note it is, kind of just increasing it or decreasing the acceleration.
Yeah.
I'm a huge like flight, and I'm not a flight simulator guy, but I love like arcade flight sims like Ace Combat, and I really wish that they had just used the template that Ace Combat set out with like the thrusters being like L2 and then firing like the gun with R2 and then using whatever face buttons that you want to fire like secondary alternate weapons
Yeah.
sort of thing. I feel like that would have
often-
been so much cooler.
I often started shooting at ships when I meant to
Yeah,
accelerate.
I did that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
times, yeah.
Right. So
I'm like,
that's
fuck.
Oh,
I'm like
okay.
shooting at a ship.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
and
'cause
then
I
you
play-
look
I
down
just
and that
played
pops up
Ace
for the
Combat.
free star. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I just played Ace Combat like 2 months ago. So I'm
Really?
used to I'm used to that. And I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, and I'm like shooting missiles at like some ship, like, sorry, I meant to brake. I was trying to air brake.
And then they get pissed off
Stop,
at you, and then your
criminal scum.
companions get pissed off at you. They're like,
Yes.
"Why would you blow up a Free Star Collective ship? Like, come on, man, Jesus Christ!" I'm
Okay,
so-
let's
yeah.
talk about, let's get into the gameplay then. Let's get into the gameplay.
Okay,
then.
let's do it.
So the gameplay loop is very similar. We're looking at Skyrim in space,
Yes.
right? It's
Yeah.
obviously the talking to NPCs. It zooms in and it just shows them. Classic.
Yeah.
Classic
The dead eyes,
Bethesda.
the good old
They
dead
changed
eyes.
it up, though.
Bethesda.
Staring their
They
dead
changed
eyes.
it up for conversations, though. I mean, they didn't do the whole switching screen from one character to another in multi-person conversation, though, in like Skyrim and stuff. It was always
No, but it was
them.
janky.
Yeah, wow. I just mean I was
You
a
can tell
cool
it's like-
little addition
And then
for
it
them.
like switches over to your like companion and they say something. And then it goes back to the NPC and they
then
like
s-
basically completely ignore them and just keep talking.
I love that. And then the funny thing is, like, sometimes my companion isn't next to me, and then it's like they
Yeah.
chime in, like something the NPC says, like sets the companion off, and then they're like, "Well, if you really think about it, we're the best ones for the job." And they're standing at the bottom of the bar, down 2 flights of stairs. And you're just like,
It's like, where the
Okay.
hell were you? What are you
and
doing?
the NPC just goes,
I love it.
Yeah, just completely ignores them. It's very funny, but I mean that's the charm that is
Yeah.
these games. The
endearing.
creation, creation
It's
charm.
endearing.
Yeah. I have the loop. I have this for the loop. Run around town, buy provisions, launch into space, possible ship battle encounter, fast travel to destination, possible ship battle encounter, possible friendly ship encounter, land spaceship on planetary body, scan planetary body, explore dig sites, caves, space stations, loot, get to objective, fly back to
kill
town,
some pirates.
repeat. Yeah.
Kill some pirates in there somewhere.
And through all of
Pirates
that,
or spacers.
just
or
the amount
eclipse,
of like stopping and loading screens, you know, like we were talking about earlier, like it's like, okay, I got to load screen to space. I got to load screen to dock. I got to load screen to land. I got to load. Holy fuck.
It increases the playtime, right? Like I feel like if there weren't as many load screens, we would have gotten through this game much quicker.
It's not as bad as
10
Diablo
hours
4,
of loading screens.
Yeah.
What do you mean
running
not as
around.
bad as Diablo 4?
Running around.
Oh, like running around. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Running around town to the vendors that you have to go to. One on this side, they put them exactly on opposite ends of the town for on purpose
to keep you in there.
The armorer and the blacksmith.
At least you can just
entirely
quick
other
travel everywhere. I mean, I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Not
kind of
unless
was.
your pockets are full.
Well, some people did.
Yeah.
Yes, which they were
Holy
always.
shit!
I maxed
that
out my
drove
fitness
me
skill.
nuts.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I
Like
had
first
to do that.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the first
fitness.
things. Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
Yeah,
But
it was like
we'll
first I was
talk about the tree. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
The skill tree.
Okay.
It's so huge, and there's so many things. Like I am like level 50 or something, and I only have a few things.
Yeah.
Like you
Because
can't
you're-
do everything. You have to literally.
You have to really pick.
Yeah,
pick
you
and choose.
pick because you don't get them back. You can't reset.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared about that.
You can't reset. You don't want to waste your talents. You got to pick to what you want, and you got to.
I'm putting them all in combat, the entire tree. Can I do that?
Oh, I'm going space tech.
You could do that.
I feel like
but
I don't use
it
my
makes-
ship enough to put any more into the ship.
Yeah.
into the ship.
I feel the same.
Section.
Like I don't.
I also
Like when do
I
you
also
ever use your
time in
ship?
it.
That's
Well, I
true.
use my ship
That's
all the
actually-
time, and it's especially important when you are doing certain side quests that we can get around to later. I'll see what you.
maybe
I'll
I
see what
haven't
you have
done
to
those.
think about that.
Well, good,
You might
because I
have.
want to
You
spend
might
more
have.
time in my ship. I want to spend more time in the ship. That would be cool.
Yeah.
So I was curious, what is everybody specking into then? If you want to keep it broad, just broad.
Yeah.
Pistols. Shit.
I did pistols,
Pistols, really?
I
Pistols.
enjoy
I
pistols as
love
well.
the pistols.
Yeah,
I love them so
that
much. They're
side
so
star,
good.
the modified
Oh,
side
yeah.
star with like the extendo and in the reflex sight. Oof.
Oh, I've got the
So
I've got
good.
the human. No, I've got
Nice.
the old Earth pistol, the 1911. I think
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
yeah, I
Yeah.
got it.
Fuck, it's so good.
Livingston. Sir Livingston.
It's
did you
so
choose to
good.
have the parents in the game when you character creator?
No,
As your
no.
perk?
Oh, like
No?
the trait.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the character creation. Okay,
My
man,
dad-
we're
I had
skipping
that
over
down.
fucking things.
We
no,
are
no, I
skipping
had that
over
down
that.
for us.
I don't have any notes, so you're gonna have to help me out here.
The I
Nick, what were you
chose
saying?
to have this. Well, sorry, I know we've been jumping around, but
No, it's all good.
I chose to have the house, have to essentially to load in the game to have the house
Oh yeah.
because I didn't get to experience that in Tears of the Kingdom, so I wanted to do that in this game, and then I wanted to have the parents, and then I chose some like
yeah, the
miscellaneous like
parents.
you can choose to have parents, and they will show up to you at New Jemison. And they will be like, son, it's been years. And like you get like an activity quest and you'll
is
go up.
so weird.
They have an apartment in the residential district. And so you go up
Yeah,
to like
yeah.
one of the towers in the residential district and the mom's
can
been like,
visit them.
oh, well, we kept your room the same way that it was since last time. It's a little bit of a mess. And there's like one backpack on the floor. And it's pretty cool. But your dad and your mom and dad both show up at the lodge and talk to the constellation numbers, which is actually kind of, I thought that, it was like, Mom, what did you, I'm on an important mission here, guys.
Okay, that's
And
very
then,
funny.
Yeah.
Because
and then
my
you're-
guy is like a old ass man. I made my guy
Really?
a old fucking decrepit old man.
His parents are still alive. They like cryo-extended.
His parents
Are
look
old-
younger.
are younger.
than him.
That'd be amazing. That would be amazing. I wonder if they like accounted for that at all. But yeah, there
Nick,
was
don't
one
your-
little mission.
Don't your parents pay you like allowance or something, or you have
no,
to pay
you
them?
pay them. You pay
you have
them.
to pay them.
You give them 2% of whatever is in your credit pool. Every like week. It's like every like week cycle in game or something like that. I can't remember if
And
it's
you
a
have to
week
pay
or
for your house.
and you have to
Man,
pay for your house. So I fucked myself.
Yeah, just flying out of your fucking bank
Yeah,
account.
no, I definitely like was on a credit grind because as soon as I loaded in the game, I was like, I gotta pay for this house. I gotta find a way to pay for this, super fucking expensive house.
Training you for RL.
But the cool thing is that you show up to the apartment and you find out that your dad is actually retiring from Mast, and he has an old buddy who was a part of the like weapon testing installation area that's inside of Mast, and he was like, hey, I know you're about to go there. You're about to deal with some unsavory characters. I want you to be protected. And he hands you an old Earth pistol that has super high stats. He was like, we calibrated it ourselves. We spent the day at the range.
God.
And it says Sir
Nice.
Livingston's pistol, and it's like an ancient item. I thought it was the coolest thing that your dad
I
gives
want to
his
see
dad.
That is really cool.
Sir
Yeah.
Livington's.
Yeah, Sir Livingston's pistol, and it's
Yeah,
neat.
that's
It's
the
just
one,
a
yeah.
cool little piece of like flavor that's part of the overall charm of this game. Where I think Bethesda and the narrative and the writing team really like hit their mark with it was small stuff like that for sure.
Yeah,
And that's
the
something you
detail is
can't,
unbelievable.
Like that's a perk that you wouldn't get if you didn't choose that background, right? Or trait
Exactly.
or whatever it was. So it's like I
Exactly,
haven't got
yeah.
a freaking trait or I haven't got any perks
I
for
didn't
being
get
a
anything.
damn soldier. A thankless job. A thankless job.
Absolutely,
I was
thankless.
this Neon Street Kid, I think.
oh,
Neon,
so was I.
Neon
Cool.
Street Kid and Wanted. I put Wanted, so I get.
Oh yeah. Have anyone
Hunted by
has any bounty
bounty-
shoulders or bounty hunters showed
Bounder-
up for you?
Any Bounder shoulders? Are you okay? They show up all the fucking time. Every time it's only in space though, so they try to shoot me down in space.
Oh, they
There's
don't
a
come to
big
your
kills.
outposts.
Nope.
Oh man, I get fucking.
Although I don't
Bothered
really,
at my
I don't really
outpost all
ever
the
hang
time.
out at my outpost. You know, I go there, I pick up some materials, and then I leave. So, and I have a bunch of turrets everywhere, so they probably hate it. They probably fucking
So
hate
you
it.
spent some time doing outpost building. That's really neat.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did. I did.
Yeah. Did you enjoy that? Did you have a good time in that little like building
It's
area?
it's
okay.
just a grindy shit.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it's just forgetting. But the thing is, if you want to do that, you got to fucking spec into it. And like I'm
Yeah.
not specking into outpost.
That's another thing. Yeah.
Outpost grinding, like, but it's easily done. But when you spec into it, you can have bigger containers, bigger storage to store more resources. You know
Yeah.
what? You can go in between. I don't know if you have to spec into
My links?
intersystem cargo links.
Yeah, my links into like whenever they drop off the stuff and it comes out of my outbound into these containers. If it's gas, it goes over here. If it's solid, it goes over here. If it's
Yeah,
oh man,
it's
it's a
pretty
big spider
complicated.
web of links.
Yeah.
On whenever I look at my outpost, I'm like, fuck, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's cool.
that's what
I
I
can
did.
see it being cool.
It is.
But I
Yeah, you
don't
can
think-
make like a habitat. Like you can make
Yeah.
a building in like a nice place. I didn't. I had everything on the ground of the planet. Like
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
a bed for like sleeping to wait for resources to come in. I had just a bed there on
So
the
you're
in
just
the
in your
rocks.
spacesuit on the bed.
I'm
Yeah.
sleeping in my spacesuit. I had like workbenches out there in the elements, you know, and in the hazardous environment.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Put a little science hab in there, Jono, you know?
Friggin' cargo ships coming in, delivering my
Like
cargo.
to what point? To what end though? Like what is
Yeah.
it? Just to what?
Is it does it
There's-
give you money?
it's just
Or is it,
for-
is
I
it a
think
good
there's, like,
money
certain
grind? Because that's what
quests-
I was thinking.
Yeah.
Is like you're an
There's-
industrious.
Okay, yeah. You
There's
can
a
get
certain
quick,
there's
like,
certain quests that
100K.
that they send out and like, oh, I need 9,000 iron or something.
Huh.
And then to get 9,000 iron, you're going to need an outpost that's farming iron, right?
Yeah.
And then you just wait, and then you go deliver it for 15,000 credits or something like
Yeah,
that.
so that's a big. It's a pretty big portion of the game, like surveying and doing all that.
Yeah.
But like, you have to spec into it, like I said, and that's not what I did. I did ballistic combat.
Me too.
I
Yeah.
did everything I needed to in the ship and the piloting to get to be able to do build class
Yeah.
C ships.
Yeah, that's right.
So you basically have to spec in to get those extra parts. So I did that a little. I did the health thing. Like I got a little bit everywhere. You know what I mean? But it's not like I said, there's so much that even at level 50 points is kind of like, where did I put it?
Just,
You know?
yeah, it's not
yeah,
there.
where
Yeah.
did we go
Yeah.
to?
Where did
That's
it go?
so interesting. Yeah, where did it go? Yeah, I decided to go to the route where it's like I wanted to spread myself thin, and that's a problem because I used like cheat mods in Skyrim, and I was like 100% everything. I could do whatever I want, and it was so much fun when you can do that. But then I was like, oh, I realized halfway through, I was like, I need to stop spreading myself out.
I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna do that now that I beat it.
You should, and just see how it like changes your perspective of like living in that world. But like, I spec'd into pistols just like Nate did, and then I went commerce. Persuasion, fitness, piloting, and then security. I maxed out my security spec because of the Ryujin Industry side quest.
Those were fun. Those are fun.
Oh, like hacking
I
the
didn't do
doors
any
and
of
shit?
those yet. Yeah, I didn't do any of those.
Well, it was all like it's all like cyber terror, like cyber espionage kind of.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm like halfway
Yeah.
through the line. I think the quest line for that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I've only
I'm
done
gonna
a
do
few.
that.
So much
so
fun.
far. Okay, so I like that,
sweet.
Nick. So you chose very specific badges in areas that you wanted to be strong in. That's kind of cool.
Yep.
I didn't really think about doing it that way. For some reason I always think I'm just gonna max out a tree because like each tree is its own area, and I want to be as
you
like
could do
buff
that.
as I can in that one. But
Yeah, it's because
I don't know.
Every
I-
point
I
has
just think
4
that-
points.
Yeah,
I just
that's
think
5
that
points.
I think that to a certain degree, it's hard to do that in this game because with combat, like there's only so much combat, and the guns are already powerful by themselves. And I mean, and of course, like getting the better stats obviously will increase your ability to
It gets way
utilize those
better though.
weapons.
I felt they were not very good at the beginning. I was like, these
Yeah.
guns kind of suck. They don't do a lot of damage, but like I spec'd into ballistics. I spec'd into like the reloading times and the
The reloading time is must.
the laser,
Oh my God.
the extra laser damage, extra ballistic damage.
yeah,
Heavy
I'm filling
weapons.
all that up right
Yeah,
now.
it's really good to do that because like going through the end, the final kind of fight, I blew those guys away. Like, but
that's
right.
wasn't even close.
But this
And
is
it
what's
didn't take
cool
me any
though.
time. So I was like, okay, good, we're done.
As per Nick's point, you're right in that you do have to solve some situations with persuasion. And
Yes.
but here's the thing. I love being horrible at persuasion because it's funny.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
yeah. it
And
is funny.
second
It
of
is funny.
all, that's how it would go, right? If my character was this big,
Yeah.
gruff, like soldier, and she's just used to fucking killing people and mowing people down, that's how she thinks. That's how she wants to solve the situation, but she can't, and she tries this other thing that she's horrible at, and it leads down a certain tree, right? So. In a sense, I would love to be good at everything, but I was like, I'm okay with the whole combat thing because I have tried persuasion, and I'm like, well, that didn't go over well. And then
It's
the
great
only
when it
option
works.
left
So
is
you're like,
attack.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Whenever it
Yeah.
works, you're like,
Yeah,
fuck
it feels good.
yes. You get like a fucking 5-bar thing. You're like on the last try.
It's so cool. I love selecting options in my mind in a situation. Like I'll specifically select a red option that I think is absolutely like gonna piss the person off or be out of the question because I knew I have like another chance. And then it works and you're like, that worked on you? Really? It's like, okay.
It's like, okay, well, yeah.
Dude, I got a
suppose you're right.
critical success once when I was on my last one and there was no way I could have made it. Like I was like the option that I had weren't enough bars to get to the end to persuade the guy.
Right.
And I just clicked on it anyway and it said critical success and it went through.
Oh,
and I was
nice.
like, what? And I'm not
wonder if they
special
do-
to
feeling,
any
Lloyd.
of it.
Yeah, I wonder if they massage the statistics in certain conversation scenes just to have like more
It's
ideal
just a roll,
outcomes.
right? It's just a
Yeah.
roll. It was probably a 100,
Right.
right? It's just a random
It could be.
roll.
Could be. Sometimes
so
the
it was probably
probability,
100.
falls in our favor for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the persuasion is funny. I could see like specking into that being cool because there were a lot of times where I'm like, fuck, I wish that would have worked because then I had to like, I had to kill
Fight
the
10
guy.
ships.
I had
Yeah.
to whip his ass. I had to whip his ass after that.
I just ran into that in the side quest that I just did. That was like a security side quest where I was investigating some smugglers into Atlantis, and it came to the point where I was like, I looked in the captain's hold, and it was like it said contraband, and I took it, and she was like, "Oh, well, it looks like you caught me, huh?" And then I like selected the persuade option to see like if there's any way that we can get out of this, and we started it in the first one that I rolled, like selected was a critical failure, and she was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
guess I gotta kill you now." And so I
wow.
like just shot all 3 of them in a head in a line. That's one of the things I love about the
Yeah.
pistols. Is they're so snappy. You're just like,
Yeah, the pistols are so
you feel
fun.
like you're in Mission Impossible. It's amazing.
Nice.
So I was just like, damn, I didn't want to kill you. Look at what you made me do. I didn't have to do this. This is your fault.
This happens later on during the infiltration quest line.
Oh my god, it was so
Oh,
good. That's one of the lines
so
that I
good.
did. The
I haven't
Southern
started that
Fleet.
one yet.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it fully, but I was going to say what's your favorite quest, but we'll talk about that in the story.
In the story section.
Okay.
Yeah, story section.
Okay. What else can we mention here for gameplay? What did we not talk about? Character creation. We didn't talk about that at the very beginning.
You touched on shipbuilding, but then we sidestepped that.
Shipbuilding? Yes, shipbuilding.
Oh man, there's so
I'm not going
much.
to bother. I had decided.
Should we not bother
I'm just
with
gonna
character creation? Should
No.
we not
Skip
bother with
over
that?
Yeah, I
skip
think
it.
we'll
Nah, I think we can skip that.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
skip that. We'll talk about shipbuilding though. I want to talk about shipbuilding. It's fun.
I
love
really
it.
liked it. It's the moving the cursor around is a fucking pain in the ass. I
Yes,
hate
it's
the
a bit clunky, but I like the you know, the
I just love
idea
building
of it.
ships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sick.
The little part,
Yeah.
like it is weird and clunky. A mouse keyboard's worse than controller.
Yeah, it is. Oh my god, it is.
It is way
Yeah.
I
worse.
was like, ew. I'm like trying to do it on keyboard and mouse. I was like, what the fuck? It should be just like click and drag. Why can't I click and drag shit? Like,
Yeah, it's bad.
it's really bad on.
But it is it is funny. There's some fucking hilarious ships online already.
Magic School Bus, penis ship.
there's a
Did you
penis
see
ship.
that?
Yeah.
Did
I
you
saw
see
that
the
one.
invincible ship that can't be shot? Did you see that one?
No.
Oh, the one that's like a cube. It's
Yeah,
like a,
it's like
it
an
looks like
empty
a
cube.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an empty cube.
I
It's
saw
just
that.
like
That was
a-
so funny.
it's just like
because they
the
target
frame
the
of a
center
cube.
mass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's no center mass of the ship, so
That's
they just
fucking
shoot at
funny.
the middle. That was sweet. So he just
Smart.
basically doesn't get hit and he can fly around.
Yeah.
But yeah, my ship ended up being fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Towards the end, and I had like the Deimos. It's one of the manufacturers. You
Yeah.
go to their shipyard and you
from
can get their parts.
Sidonia. Yeah.
The freaking giant bridge, like cockpit. That's
Oh, that's so
massive.
cool.
It's
Yeah, it feels like
fucking
you're walking
huge.
onto the Enterprise. It's so
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking sweet. So I have that on there. It's this big ship. I got like turrets set up. I got giant EMP pulse weapons.
Yeah.
Lots of cargo. 3,000 cargo on this bad boy.
Nice.
And I think it's like 86
crazy.
mobility. 86 mobility or something like that.
And you made this
20
yourself?
Yeah, 27 light year travel.
Oh wow, I'm at 21. Like,
That's crazy.
I went all out. This thing's probably worth like 350. Probably worth about
350? Okay. That's what I was curious
Yeah,
as. Did you
350.
buy one of the ships from the vendors and then just modify it, or you just built this
No.
from scratch?
I built
I
this from
built mine
scratch.
off the Frontier.
It's awesome.
Mine got the Frontier core.
Oh, really? I deleted all that. I made a snake one that looks like a snake. Pretty cool. It's like kind of jagged. So it almost has an empty center. And I was thinking about that. I was like, maybe they'll shoot there and they'll miss, but it does kind of like zigzag. And the cargo bay I put at the front like a mouth, and I put the cockpit on
neat.
top.
Okay.
It looked sweet, and it
Yeah, it
was
looks
very
pretty cool.
mobile. It was a sweet ship, but I like cruising on that big fucking.
Yeah,
My
I love my
beast.
Toad. I love
Yeah.
my Toad ship. It's so sweet.
And
Like,
like
I got
the
the big
different things you can put on for
Toad
like
ship.
to make it
Yeah.
look cool, like wings and stuff
Yeah.
that are just
Yeah.
kind of like aesthetic. That's so
I'm
cool.
waiting. I'm waiting to unlock some stuff so I can make an X-wing fighter. You know, like something
Okay.
small, single person, just fly around super fast and shoot shit down. Like,
I almost
that's what
feel like
want.
they don't want you to fly one of those things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
The
Like I saw a cool
reactors
thing
are
on
too
Twitter
big.
today. Yeah,
what I mean?
I saw a thing today where
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like a Naboo starfighter, but it's the entire
huge.
like you need a hab, you need a habitation bay or like whatever
okay,
the
yeah.
the
Damn it.
actual docking bay is, and so
True, yeah. You need all these components, right?
in order for it to pass the flight check. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. I love the ideas like the juxtaposition of being in that shipbuilder mode. Kind of like the same thing if when you're doing outpost building is like you're selecting these tiny little assets and moving them around on a map, and or just like cobbling them together in the builder mode, and then you like get into like the game in real life, and it's this gigantic, massive
Oh,
like
yeah.
construction
Yeah,
with like mortar and missile rounds that are the
Smoke,
size of
steam.
like a
Yeah.
building. I was like,
Man.
okay, this is sweet. This is sweet.
Yeah, that
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But I wish in the building mode that you can go inside. Like,
See what it looks like. Yeah, I thought
yes,
about
you
that.
could design the interior.
yes, but
Yeah.
there's not. You cannot do
Oh,
that.
I'm
I don't
sure
know
that's
how
coming with
to
a mod.
do that. I think you can somehow maneuver
There's some command.
things
There's some
inside.
command. There's some command prompts that you can do that'll allow you to like put stuff that you would put inside of a building in your ship. Like
Oh, I think there's
paintings on the wall
modules
and
that
shit
come
like
with
that.
those things, though. You know, you have to buy
Right.
the medic
Yeah.
bay module. You have to buy
Yeah, or the storage
Yeah, yeah.
room, or the armory. Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't unlocked a lot of those things yet. I've unlocked like
because
the
there's an
battle
even
station.
entire shipbuilder perk like selection, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
are you
true.
guys
And I
all
think I
building
did
your
do
own
that.
custom ships?
Yeah.
All three of you?
Yeah.
I did.
did.
Yeah.
Nick?
I've never built one from scratch. What I always do,
Okay.
like I did this to the Frontier that they give you at the very beginning, is I literally
yeah.
ripped it apart and built it entirely in a new image. And I used some
Yeah.
of the old parts and then a ton of new parts. Like I put a Stroud Eklund cabin on the Frontier itself, and then like put some gigantic like Nova Star thrusters on the side of it, and made it just like super juiced up in the back end.
Fuck, it's so
And,
sweet.
yeah, it's,
Man,
it's really
so
fun.
good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that part.
I started off trying to make the Millennium Falcon, but there's
Yeah.
no like you can't make like a ship like circular yet. I guess like a plate, but mine's pretty close.
Right.
I think mine's very close to getting like flat, like single layered, and
Single layered.
yeah, like Millennium Falcon, like the Toad. The Toad's pretty single layered. It's got a big head on it, and the cockpit's like very large. And I don't have any landing bays until kind of like the back, so it looks like the Toad's legs, like the feet. Oh, I
yeah.
love my ship. It's fucking sweet. Yeah.
I don't know that I'm gonna like bother building one from scratch, but I did load up earlier. I wasn't spending too much money on it, just a few thousand credits, but I was upgrading the systems on the Frontier for now. I was like,
Yeah.
just in case, maybe I want a little bit more firepower to, damage to hull, damage to shield. Maybe I want a little bit more shield up, Maybe I want a little bit more lasers, and I think that's what I upgraded for now. I think it was something like 4,000 credits total between a few parts.
It gets
Which were
expensive.
still better than what I had before. But I was like, I'll save my money, and I think I'm just gonna buy the ship that I want that has all the parameters, and then maybe update or upgrade that or something.
Right.
Because I don't know.
Right.
I was honestly, I think I hate the controls in the ship builder. Like I have very little patience
they're
to
horrible.
be in it.
They're horrible.
It's
Yeah,
bad.
It's
I
even-
have very little
they're-
patience for that. So
They're bad on
And, like,
controller.
up
They're
is-
even worse on
Up is
Yeah,
down
it's like-
and down
Dude,
is
yeah,
up
it's
and right
inverted.
is left. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like the
yeah, it's
joystick and the
inverted.
camera.
I was like, what?
It's like
I'm not in a
inverted or
cockpit
something.
right now. I don't need it to be inverted. Just
feel
put
like-
up as up and down as down.
I feel like this is like the first pass. Like they wanted to focus on other things to get this game right,
Yeah,
and they were like, they
maybe.
looked at Shipbuilder and they were like, if they're gonna do it, they're gonna like have to fucking
Yeah,
deal with it the
exactly.
way it is
Yeah.
until we
Yeah,
can go
yeah.
back and then do a patch update to it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, that was it's very fun to do that. I would just put on some, you can listen to stuff in the background and just do your ship, because I would do it for like a half an hour at a time.
Yeah,
you know what I
man.
mean?
You can
is
lose
this your
time
beast
in
that
there.
you shared in the group chat? This
Yeah, I
is
just shared it in a
sweet,
group chat,
man. Oh my god, yeah, I
my,
see you got the Stroud Eklund, like
I
the
think it's
top to
mostly-
it. That's amazing.
Oh, the top round ones are I think Stroud, but everything else is Deimos.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's fucking sweet. Got some like
Okay,
ridges
so-
on there, little spines.
We haven't talked too much about like
There's so much.
the combat. We haven't talked too much. I'm curious to what you guys think about the
yeah.
combat and like the performance while
Yeah,
you're
there's
in
so much.
combat. I talked about how
Okay.
good the guns feel as you're doing the gunplay itself,
Yes.
but
Yeah,
what did
they
you
feel
feel
pretty
about the
good.
moment to moment gameplay and the AI?
I
and
wish.
stuff?
I
The
really
AI is
wish.
horrible.
I really wish they would have gave me like a thrust side to side.
Oh,
You know
that
what
would
I
be
mean?
cool.
That would have been
Yeah.
cool.
Like a psst.
Like a dodge.
Yeah.
Like
if they
Cyberpunk,
added
so you
that,
double tap B.
Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
use
like
that
I
all
air
the
strafe
time.
all the time. I fucking jump and I'm strafing in the air while I'm reloading. Like that's it. You have to do that.
Yeah.
If you're on a lower gravity planet, you can manipulate yourself in the air pretty well.
Yeah,
It's like you
Yeah.
jump up and you just strafe in the air while you're
Oh
reloading.
yeah, really? Eh?
And then
I
you jump
just-
back
yeah.
down.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
I've definitely
I
used
do
that.
enjoy fighting and shooting things. It's sweet, especially when you find a weapon that is really.
Don't you find it's very soaky? Like the bad guys are just taking clips upon clips, even in a legendary gun.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like
Well,
I'm like, holy fuck.
Early
come
on, yeah. Once I like updated my combat, my ballistics, and my like.
Yeah, I don't find that, and that could be because I'm specking.
I spec'd
Yeah.
into weapon
Yeah,
modding,
okay.
got some nice weapon
Yeah.
mods on there, and I had some nice weapons, and I'm blowing these guys away. Like, absolutely a one-shot guys with this fucking shotgun. I got it in some quest. I don't even know what it
Earth
was.
shotgun, just like the pump.
No, it was like some
fucking love
some
that one.
advanced, like futuristic shotgun that I got in a quest somewhere, and I don't even.
Was it like a little pistol-looking shotgun?
No, it's like a big thing.
That's
It
the one
looks
that you
like
get in the Mantis, yeah. Oh, is it the one where it's like it's basically a grenade launcher?
it looks
like a-
huge.
Yeah, it's
maybe
massive.
it is.
I think
I
I
don't have
have
that
the
one.
I
I
have
thought it
that
was one
same
of the
one.
main quests that you get it.
Maybe.
Yeah,
it
it's
could
for
be.
killing the little scorpion dudes in one of the quests, in one of the main quests later on.
Oh,
Okay.
maybe
You
it's in my
remember?
inventory.
They give
and I
you a
didn't look
shotgun.
at
It's
it.
like, here, you'll need something to deal with those, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
and I was
shit.
like, this thing is fucking sweet.
Oh,
and it's just like, bloom, bloom, bloom. and
That's a
everything
heavy
dies.
weapon, though. I don't think it's a shotgun. I think it's it's almost like it's a
Oh, really?
an incendiary launcher. It's called like
That's what I'm thinking that it is too, because I
I
have
thought it was
a
a
gold
shotgun.
one. I have a gold one. I thought it was classified under shotguns, but yeah, it behaves like the round that comes out from it behaves like a mortar launcher. It's so awesome.
right. No, but I think it's a heavy weapon because of its icon.
Destroys
pretty sure.
everything.
Okay.
It uses
Okay, I
shotgun
just
shells.
got that
I'm telling you that it uses shotgun ammo, 15 by 25 or whatever the hell it is. Shotgun ammo.
I don't know. I didn't look.
It's
I remember
kills
that quest and
robots
them
really
giving me that gun.
fast, and robots are a pain in the ass to kill.
Yeah,
And
I will
this thing
say
just blows them away.
yeah, robots are a little bit of a pain. I've taken to like shooting the robots with my side star because it just fires. It has such a high DPS like fire rate. It's like just to be able to just
would
like
you-
throw rounds to it. What's up?
Are there certain weapon types that do well against robots? Like, do you have to use
You
electromagnetic?
have to
you know?
spec into doing well against robots. You have to spec into it.
Yeah, robotics.
kidding?
Yeah,
Oh, is
there's
that
an
a
entire
tech
like
perk?
robotics like perk. Yeah, that you can
Under the tech
actually
tree.
choose.
Oh, okay.
And I think you
Wow.
can hack them and you do more damage to them or something like that.
Well, so
Right.
then my question then is what is the point of all the different weapon types if I can't use an electromagnetic rifle against a robot? Like, what's the point of having different types of damage if there's no real?
It's just base damage. That's just a specific. You also get
know
other
what I
things,
mean?
I think, with that robotics thing, though. You get the ability to like interact differently with them and stuff like that. I forget.
And then
what
it also
is
it's
exactly.
variable
Yeah.
too because some enemy types have armor or shielding, and like taking
Which
out
is
their shielding
further-
first with the energy weapons,
Yeah.
and then you
Right.
switch over to the ballistics to like take their health out, kind of like the old
Oh,
classic. I think
shit.
that's where that balancing occurs.
That makes sense because in ship
Yeah.
combat, actually, Nick, yes, you use lasers. I hear to further or to faster decrease their shields, and then you can use ballistics against the hull or missiles or whatever. So that makes perfect sense. That means I got to do some switching up in my hotkey, my favorites, because I really only have ballistics.
Yeah. You can calculate because on the ship builder, it'll tell you your fire rate, your damage to shield, your damage to hull. And all you have to do is multiply that by the fire rate, and that's how many damage per second you're doing, right?
Right.
yeah.
Like if you do 2.5, it says fire rate 2.5. That means 2.5 per minute or per second. And you're shooting 2.5 times 20 damage, then you know how much damage you're doing per second. So then you can kind of compare it to another weapon and say, okay, what does more damage per second? And that's what I was doing. And I was like, okay, these are the best ones. Damage per second to shield, damage per second to hull, and damage per second to both. Because there's some that do equal damage to both. So my ship does a fucking ton of damage.
Well, coming back to like the just like shooting the robots, like I've got the one laser gun. I got it like really early on in the game. It's like a
Is it the long range one?
Pistol?
Yeah, it's like I guess it's like a kind of a sniper, but it's not.
Like a rifle. Yeah.
Oh,
I use
yeah,
that
like
one.
the laser rifle on
Yeah.
the robots. That thing like knocks them down, stuns them, and then you can go up to them and just shotgun
that
them.
rectangular shaped
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Equinox?
Is that a
that's a good
laser
one.
gun
Yeah,
or is
the
that
Equinox
electromagnetic?
is a laser gun.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Laser rifle.
Yeah, laser
Yeah, and
damage
you
at
can use
least.
it. You can use long range. It takes laser cartridges, so it's laser. It is a
Oh,
laser
okay.
weapon.
Okay.
Yeah,
But there are
But overall-
picks under combat. There's perks for doing extra damage with laser weapons, extra damage with heavy weapons, extra damage with ballistic, with pistols. You know what I mean? So it's like
Right.
if you want to do one, you you should really only be using one, but that's not really practical. You should be using other types, right? Like the lasers versus the ballistics. So you do have to spec into like all of them if you want to be really strong.
But again, if you're doing a full combat tree, that's totally doable.
Yeah.
You know, not if you
but
want to
then
spread
you're not
yourself
putting
out.
anything anywhere else. That's like,
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
and you're not getting those cool ship things. You're not getting, yeah. I was kind of getting stuck on the research where I couldn't research things because I didn't have other things. I was like, fuck, now I got to go spec into that so I can research this and so I can do this and unlock
I gotta
these
dump
mods.
3 points into
So I
here.
want to unlock because I am specing into combat, but I want that also involves modifying my weapons. So, but in order to modify your weapons, you have to fucking spec into technology and
It's like you got to be a
weapon
fucking
engineering.
scientist in space. What is this nonsense?
Science officer, science soldier.
Yeah.
Why can't I bring it to somebody and just pay the damn money? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Did you guys? How did you guys feel about the commerce system? Are you struggling for credits? Are you rolling in the credits? I feel like they've been pretty generous for the most part in my playthrough.
Not when you're building
so.
ships. Not when you're building ships.
Oh yeah, when you're building
ships, you're bleeding.
You run
creds.
through money like water. Yep.
Yeah. There's one quest that'll get you a shit ton, and then it's gone whenever you build a fucking ship. Like it's
that's what I built my ship from. Was like was that quest?
What do you
probably.
guys do to make your credits in this game? What do you
I've
do?
just
What's
been
your
questing.
main?
I do the outpost thing. I
Just the
go.
quest? Okay.
I
so-
want to figure out how to do that.
I
honestly.
create an outpost.
quests.
I have a bunch of ore. I need iron, copper, beryllium, and aluminum. That's what you need.
So you
Just
just
the main
resource
stuff,
farm and then you sell all that?
and then I create these fucking Tau grade, whatever the hell
I don't
they're
think that's
called.
what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed there's quests
And
at each
adaptive
shipyard.
frames.
There's quests at each shipyard, and she'll be like, "Oh, I need 9,000 aluminum," and then you go fucking pump 9,000,
Yeah,
and
but
she gives
to
you like
do
20,000.
all that shit, I think you have to do earlier stuff that has like surveying of stuff. There's survey missions.
I
and
haven't
stuff like
surveyed
that.
one full planet yet.
Oh my god, survey missions take so long.
Oh,
That's
so
like one of the
stupid.
biggest like bummers. Is
Yeah,
that I wish
it's
that
so
it was
stupid.
just a little snappier.
I'm stuck
It's
on
like-
one planet. It's like 88%. I'm like, I don't know what else to do here.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah. You kind of just
you
have
get
to
a lot
find.
of credits though from doing that too.
You do. He gives you like 13,000 or something like
And they
that.
give you
something along
things
those
in your
lines.
inventory. Survey data. You find them in your inventory.
Yeah.
You can sell them for like
You've
700,
gotta, like-
600 something each.
Oh,
The
I didn't know that.
sometimes I'll get caught and I'll see like,
your
resources
notes.
found 6 out of 8, and then I'll go to the planet map and I'll scan. I'll turn on the resource color map, and then I'll look around the planet. Okay, here's beryllium, here's aluminum, whatever, and you'll see all the colors, right? But then some of them like don't show up, and I guess they just require because it's color coded, right? Obviously, like iron's like
Yeah.
red, so you see all the red.
Well,
but then some of
yeah,
them
but
don't
you're not
have a
spec'd
color.
into it. You're not spec'd into it, so you're not going to see it perfectly from that view. You
Yeah,
have to
it's
spec
too
into
much.
survey
So
for
some
that.
some materials don't show up if you're not spec'd in. Is what you're
Yeah.
saying?
It's just a very general map. But if you spec into it, it gets more detailed and you can see where everything
Yeah,
is.
and then you can zoom
Okay,
in
so
further
it just
and all that.
displays more resources.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, what I was doing was just farming those 4 elements: iron, aluminum, copper, beryllium. And I was
And
creating
selling them.
I was creating adaptive frames. You go to a workbench and you just mass create them,
Okay,
and you get a ton of XP and levels from doing that.
really?
And then
I haven't
you
been
go
getting
sell
any
them.
levels from crafting shit.
Man, you're not crafted enough, dude. I showed you a screenshot of
What the
my
hell am I gonna do
inventory.
with 4 million
I
fucking
had 12,000 mass out of my 225 my
stupid.
encumbrance or whatever.
Oh, yeah, your encumbrance meter.
I had like 16,000 or something like that. I think was my highest.
And then you forgot
companion's
to
like,
put your ship. You forgot
Jonathan,
to put your
I
ship
think
on
you
the
need to put
landing.
something down.
Yes, yeah, my companion always saying,
Sometimes there's just too much to take on.
yeah, I'm just like, shut up. We're grinding outposts. Don't you understand that? Because you don't need to fast travel anywhere, right? You just run around your outpost and you don't die from that. You will only take a certain amount of damage.
Yeah,
And you won't die. So you can just keep doing it. And I'm building all this shit. And I wait till I have about 8,000 of each of these adaptive frames and the Tau grade retro stat or whatever it is. And I
Yeah.
go back to Neon. I get on my ship, which is right there because I have a landing bay in my outpost. I just get on my ship.
Sometimes
Quick
I go to
travel
land
to
on my
Neon.
bay and I'm not, and I'm out on the fucking mountain. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I've got all this
weird.
shit in my pockets,
that's
and I'm like,
because
I
that
have to,
happened
I
to
can't
me.
run, I can't fast travel there because I've got shit in my pockets, so I'm always fucked. Every time.
Because is your landing bay too small? Your landing bay's too small. You need the big one.
Sarah
There's
Morgan.
a big one?
Yes, there's
Sarah
a big one
Morgan.
that comes with a shipbuilder.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, she
That's
shows
the
up. She
one I
shows up
saw.
to your guys' characters, and she's like Samwise Gamgee. Share the load.
Mr. Frodo.
I don't want to keep it. Okay, let me share my thoughts about the music, okay? Because this is something that I noticed as I was playing. I thought was really cool. Nick, I wonder what you think. So,
Okay.
the first bullet I have is their use of, for the palette, neoclassicism. So like influences of what we call the Romantic period of the 19th century. Things like, your freaking Brahms, your Rachmaninoff kind of shit. For sure,
Okay.
100%. And 20th century symphonic music. So obviously everything post 1900s, which gets very contemporary, quote unquote, and experimental. But Holst's like The Planets come to mind, and you guys would know this music when you hear it. It's like that Dr. Evil theme. Ba, 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 na, type thing.
Yeah.
Like that's actually from Holst's The Planets. And
Really?
but not
Oh,
just
yeah,
that,
that's
but there's
right, isn't
so
it? Yeah.
much. Yeah, there's I think
Okay.
that's actually Mars or something. I don't remember. But there's so much good music in that whole thing, and it's very much what they were going for. It's very sort of, it's like every piece in that movement, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's a symphony, but it kind of paints a picture musically of each planet. But this tends to be the palette I notice for their surface exploration.
Their cervix exploration.
I knew you were going to say something. I knew that was coming.
Sorry, surface. The surface
I love
exploration.
this word.
Surface
Cervix.
exploration, and when you're in space, like in your ship. That's what I noticed. They use a lot of the orchestral textures during that.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of electronics for surface exploration, but I think a lot of it is the symphonic. But then there's also some really cool electronic stuff that tends to be the palette for combat, on the other hand. So
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I've noticed
So,
the
yeah.
combat music, actually.
yeah, it's not symphonic, which is cool, because I mean you can still do symphonic combat music. I mean, think about Jeremy Soule with freaking Skyrim and Oblivion, for instance. But
Da-na-na-na.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But I think that obviously it still blows. As a producer and a composer myself, it blows my mind that any medium like a game or a film can blend the two styles seamlessly without their listeners kind of even noticing the shift between the two totally different. You know what I mean? I just heard a dark and intense like electronic music in combat, but that's over now. Now I'm listening to an eerie and really tense orchestra while I'm like exploring this abandoned research center. So there's that. If you're paying attention, you notice the shift between the two worlds, which is really cool, because you almost can't have a game like this given its style and its aesthetic and its scale. It's both style and aesthetic and scale. So it's a massive space epic. So it should have orchestra, because like John Williams restarted that whole thing in Hollywood with Star Wars. But you've got to also have electronic, because it's got that kind of cool, the sci-fi. Like think of Mass Effect and the clubs, just like the club called on Neon? You know what I mean?
It's
I don't remember.
God, Astral
The lounge,
Lounge.
Astral Lounge
Yeah.
or something.
The Astral
Yeah, the
Lounge,
Astral
which is
Lounge.
like Korra's den in Mass Effect, right? So there's that electronic element. So it's really cool to blend the two. But I also hear hints of soundscapes like Hans Zimmer's Interstellar. I noticed that too.
Oh, yeah.
There'd be like these
Yeah.
lonely
Oh, yeah.
synth phrases that are like cold breaths in the vast emptiness, right? You just kind of hear them chime in a bit, and you're like, oh, that was cool. And it's just like a synth line. I'm loving the friggin' music. I think it's perfect for the game.
Okay, cool.
He uses a lot of Dorian scale, don't you? It's like one of the go-tos for composers is jumping to the Dorian scale, from what I understand, to try and get into those harmonics, to get that futuristic but also washed out space melodies. I feel like that they try to lean on, and I know that Inon Zur is famous for that, and he also did all of the Fallout games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's like they have their like
know that.
1A and 1B. They have their one composer his name is Jeremy Cobb, I think. What was his
Soule,
name? Who did
yeah.
Skyrim? Jeremy Soule, who does the Skyrim and Elder Scrolls games, and then Inon Zur is the one who takes his like either the futuristic or post-apocalyptic games, which I think is really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's so hard for me because I like this. I like the music and it works and I think it's serviceable. I just think that the themes kind of repeat themselves often. And I just don't, I wish that I kind of was wanting a little bit more of a, like, because I feel like you compared it to Mass Effect earlier. In every world, in every major city in Mass Effect had its own very distinct feel. Whether you were in the Citadel or if you were at Omega, like each one had its own like kind of like lightly flavored textures in the music. And it's also, I'm playing this game fresh off the heels of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which was composed by Stephen Barton and Gordy Hobb, and they did incredible work with just like that bombastic. It's very like they're paying a lot of homage to John Williams and what he did with the original trilogy, but they're also doing their own thing. And it's like very influenced by like what Ludwig did with The Mandalorian. Like I listened to The Mandalorian OST and the Jedi Survivor OST, and it's like, yeah, exactly.
I love that song. I love that fucking song.
So it's like, it's hard
so
for
you're
me
saying
to
that you don't
listen
see,
to that. And then
you don't see as much variation as you'd like in between the themes, like on planets and different cities and things like that. That's what you're saying? Like you'd rather a little bit more personality, unique personality.
I wish he got weird with it. He doesn't get weird with it at any point throughout this game, and I want him to get a little freaky. You know what I'm saying? Like get a little. Get a little weird, I guess. I feel like it is good, and it's very, very excellent, and I admit that. And it serves its purpose. I just I wanted it, maybe I'm looking for something extra just because of what I've been influenced by.
Well, I mean,
this year.
it would be cool. Of course, it would be cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree with. Well, I kind of agree with both of you. Like when I was playing, I never really stopped and listened. You know, I just kept going, and it just kept kind of like playing in the background, and it like,
and that's the beautiful part is it does fade into the background.
It's
so
supposed to. I think it's supposed to, and that's
I just
why
noticed
maybe
the
Nick,
horns.
there
Those horns. There's always
Yeah.
horns singing in the background.
And I never like stopped on a
woodwinds.
planet, looked at some planets in the Milky Way, and like let the music like take me for a little bit of a ride. That never really happened. But I noticed the music behind me pushing me forward. And it felt good. It sounded great, but I never stopped to really like think, "Wow, this is fantastic."
I definitely did. Like I didn't stop to marvel over it, but I stopped to listen to it. So that's just something that I actively do. But I did love. Speaking of horns, Jonathan, there's like a lot of woodwinds actually, like bassoons and clarinets, which are actually a super lonely texture to use, which is perfect for space, right? It's not like strings. You don't get the same thing from strings. Strings have a vibrance.
Maybe it was.
They have a life.
Maybe it wasn't
and
horns.
energy.
Then maybe it was just like a deep, like an oboe or something. No, oboe's not.
Well,
deep,
it could have been
like
a bassoon.
a bass.
Bassoon sounds
a
like
bassoon.
almost like an organ, but it's not. It's really weird.
Yeah, it could have been a bassoon.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I was a
That's
buffoon.
what I've noticed.
It could have been a bassoon.
It's definitely the buffoons.
I will say,
Where's
like,
my buffoon section?
While we're talking about music, I can only imagine that Inanzer was also, he had his hands in the sound design as well. I'm pretty sure they probably had a separate sound engineer that's like apart from the composer, but I feel like they have to work hand in hand because they're working on the music files and they have to be seamless. But we talk about sound design though, like this game really, really stands out. Each individual like reload sound effect that they have for every gun is different, which is cool.
Beautiful.
And then it's just like the idea, like every like ship thruster has its own signature sound profile as well.
Yeah.
And the computers, when you walk up to a computer, the animation sound to click. Oh my God. I just go back and forth to each computer because like,
Yes, they fucking sound so good.
So good. It's so good.
Like I'm
I
clicking
love
on
it.
it. I'm
The doors, when the doors
that sounds
open.
really good.
Oh, it was beautiful.
And I love
The
that
is
sound
very
whenever you
nice.
like. There's almost like a little. I don't know, when you do certain things. There's like a little. There's almost like a sound effect they put in. It's like a. And there's like these like little clicky, very gear. I don't know the way it's almost like these tech gear type sound effects they put in.
It's
when
beautiful.
you're collecting things and for certain things you pick up and whatever.
Like
and
the
I love
Digipix,
the way they
the
just like
Digipick sound
the
when you pick that
Digipix,
up. It's like it's great.
Yes,
It's
and when
very
you
like
unlock it and when you're
there's a
flipping through
lot
the
of
different patterns.
It's very crisp. It's very crisp.
Yeah.
Their recording, whatever they did, was a very nice,
very sweet.
Detailed.
Very
Very
s-
detailed.
Yeah,
I kept looting
detailed
just to
sound.
hear shit. Like I would just loot just to pick stuff up because I loved the sound of it all. Just like click, clack,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I was
great.
like, oh man, it's
I'm
so
a fan.
All right,
So
Was
good.
there anything else
not for
you
music.
want to talk to? or talk about?
Well, we didn't talk
beyond that.
about visuals or story.
Yeah, well, that's it for. I think we can move on from music. Is what he's.
Well,
Yeah.
story's gonna be hard to
Music
talk
is
about because I'm only so far.
Yeah. Okay.
You guys have gotten very far. But generally speaking, it's as someone
say
who
general.
hasn't uncovered all the mysteries yet, it's very interesting. I'm really wondering where it's going, and I have some questions. I mean, for anything really, but I'm digging how kind of vast the main story does feel in terms of where it takes you. That's kind of something unique to this game, though, because the world is just massive. So,
Right.
But I do like the kind of these big missions they send you on. Oh, you have to go to this person to this far off world and find this thing, and I really like it. And I'm wondering, how is this all kind of how am I connected, and what is this? What are these artifacts building? I mean, I have an idea, but why? Why is it at the lodge and why this one? So you guys probably know by now, but that's like the questions that I'm thinking of as I'm playing this story. So
Wait, what was
I don't know. I'm
your
looking forward to
question
seeing-
about the lodge? Sorry?
well, just like, why this, why are the artifacts building this thing here in the middle of the lodge and what happens when it's done and whatever. So I'll find
That's
that
just
out.
where they're
Well, you're
building it. It could
collecting them
happen
and bringing them to the lodge,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
what you're
Yes. Yeah.
So,
So
well,
I'm
we should
waiting to
explain
discover.
what the hell the premise is then. Like the premise is you were a miner and you did some job delivered it to these guys at Constellation, which is like
You find a mysterious
foundation
artifact,
of explorers,
Yep.
privately funded by this guy. What's his name?
Barrett?
Barrett? No, Barrett is the pirate.
Walter
dude. Well, not
Stroud,
pirate.
isn't he?
No,
Walter
no.
Stroud. Oh yeah, Walter
Walter
Stroud.
Stroud's
It's-
the
Walter
money
Stroud
behind
funded
it,
the
yeah.
Constellation operation,
Yeah.
but Barrett was
He
the one
funded
that
it.
set up the story, or he set up the thing for
He's-
Lynn to go mine.
He
the stuff.
set you up.
Oh,
to-
yes,
to,
okay.
to join
Yeah.
them.
He
and
created
he gives
a
you
job.
his ship.
He
Yeah,
opened
yeah.
the job requisition.
But I was talking about Constellation. Like Constellation is privately funded by Walter Stroud, who builds the spaceships. And they're trying to find these artifacts, which is the thing you find at the very beginning, and it takes you on some wild vision
Big
hallucination.
brain stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like you fly across the universe, and then you're like, "Whoa, what was that?" And they're like, "Whoa." And then
Yeah,
you
so
basically
finding
want to
out
find all these artifacts and find out what they do and what are they for, who made them,
And then
that's the
Keanu
journey.
says, "Wake up, samurai."
"Yeah,
Yeah.
wake up, samurai." And then that's the journey it takes you on.
burn. Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm looking forward to finding out where it all
There's
goes.
a big,
I've got
big
my questions.
twist and like reveal that I got
Cool.
today, and I was like, "Whoa!"
I got
and
my.
I got the
forward to that.
goosebumps.
Well, what was the last main story mission that you've done, Dan?
Oh, I just did the one today actually with Walter Stroud, where you've got to go meet the seller at
wife?
the club.
At Neon. Okay.
Oh,
got it.
that was
Okay,
cool.
Dude, that was a good
Yeah.
one.
It was fun, and I love Walter Stroud. I'm a huge
Yeah.
Walter.
He's a
Stroud
good
fan.
character.
He's
He's
good,
a good
yeah.
character.
He's a
isn't
good guy. He's
Yeah,
good. He's good
Walter
people.
Stroud.
he? Yeah.
We had a great time together. Walter
Just a
and I.
corpo scumbag.
He's a corpus scumbag.
That's the
Yeah,
last
you're
one I
right.
did, Nick. I just
I was-
did that today. I was
yeah.
playing for like 4
Okay.
hours, and I
was
did a
wondering,
bunch of
like,
story stuff.
What was
nice.
driving him? I was kind of like wondering what was driving him.
He's bored.
Big money.
He's at
big
the top of the
money,
pyramid, man.
Yeah.
He
okay.
wants to explore, man. He's a curious mind, and he's got money. So
Yeah.
that's what Constellation is all about. It's about exploring.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, one of the things is I thought when we talk about the story, when we talk about the attached cast, who are the core members of Constellation, I really like Barrett. I really like him and his
Yeah.
story and how he kind
He's
of
always
just like he weasels his way out of everything. He gets himself into such hot shit, and then he
Yeah.
just gets out of it. He's like
Yeah.
fucking charismatic dude, and
Yes,
I
he is.
love
The
that.
Crimson Fleet episode
Yeah.
made me see that. I was like, oh, okay, I see
Yeah.
who he is now.
that was funny. Exactly. And then
Yes.
it's Sam Coe. I love Sam Coe. And then
Sam.
I kind of went
Of course,
down
his
the
name
free
is
start.
Sam. You know what?
Yeah.
It's the exact character from True Blood. Sam from True Blood. I don't know if
Really?
you watched True Blood.
I've watched
That's what
a
it
few
reminds me of.
seasons of
I
it.
have not
Yeah.
watched
He's
any
like
True Blood.
he's like the guy who's like, he's like the cowboy. And his name is fucking Sam, and he lives on a ranch. But
Yeah.
that's what it reminds me of. It's just like, of course, his name is Sam.
Yeah.
He's a
Cool guy
perfect
cowboy.
Sam.
Yeah, he's definitely a cool guy, Cowboy, and he made me go down the Freestar Collective side mission tree, and I went down a few of them, and those are really fun. I really enjoyed it. I love the fact that something that's not super spoilery for all of our listeners is that when you get into those situations, every side quest gives you new like armor or apparel that they'll give you that are kind of representative to those factions that you're joining. So like Region Industries, at some point along this quest, you get this cool looking suit, and then obviously suit. Freestar Collective, they give you a deputy. They give you a deputy uniform. Badge. You can put that on. I put a cowboy hat on. I was rocking that cowboy hat everywhere.
With the duster coat? I didn't give a fuck. Do you get a duster coat?
Wow.
No, I didn't get a duster coat. When do you get that? Is that later on in that?
No, I was asking.
You just take off your spacesuit?
No, when you're running around the planet or whatever.
Yeah.
I never did that. I'm always full spacesuit, just
with the helmet on.
With the helmet on.
It's like, the helmet on. You can't even see my face.
Sir, you can take all that off.
Normies.
My old ass man.
On Aquila City, you can take all that off, sir.
You're like, I can't hear a goddamn word you're saying.
But story we can't really get into, but there are some good ones. One of my favorite ones so far was the infiltration of the pirate gang, the space pirate gang.
Yes, the Crimson Fleet.
Yeah. I ripped through that quest. Like, I started it and I couldn't stop. Like, it was.
Yeah, I didn't stop.
It was so good.
It is so
now,
good.
Here's my question: is what did you do to get kidnapped by the UC Vigilance? Is my question.
I don't even remember.
I accidentally stole a med pack from the flight simulator UC Vanguard.
They just flew up to me and hailed me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a mission through someone else. I got introduced there saying, go to the SysDef. They want to. Maybe it's through the Vanguard. I think if you sign up for UC Vanguard, you get a little offshoot that sends you to go talk to the Ikande guy. The
Commander Ikande. Yeah.
Okay. I just remember flying into space, and then they hailed me, and they're like, "You have to come with me right now." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
I don't remember that happening to me. So because
I committed grand theft larceny, guys. I looked because I really wanted the mission. I wanted to do the Crimson Fleet mission, and I looked up how to do it, and they were like, "You just have to commit crime." And so I went to New Jensen, and I went to the. So this is why some of the bugs are so funny, because I went to the Terra Brew. I think that's the name of the coffee shop. It's like the Starbucks of Starfield. Yeah. You go to the Terra Brew, and I like went behind the bar, and I just started taking coffee cups that were like just sitting behind the bar and just putting them in my inventory. And the owner was like, you can't do that. And then the security guard came and started firing. He didn't even talk to me. He just started firing. And so I was like, shit. And I like wiped out.
Dude, that happened to me. I couldn't land on the planet. I don't know what I did though. I couldn't land on any UC controlled planet, or they would immediately start shooting me, and I don't know what I did at all. I had to use a code to remove my bounty because I didn't know.
You were a naughty boy.
Because I was too early in the game.
You shot something down.
I think I stole like something on a fucking planet in the middle of nowhere out there, and
no, this is UC territory. We don't tolerate these.
Yeah, but nobody told me anything. They weren't like, "Hey, you're breaking the law." Like nobody said anything, so I didn't know. And then I go back to fucking Alpha Centauri, and then
the security admin is like, "I want every single gun you have pointed at that man."
And I couldn't do it because it was very early in the game, and I couldn't do anything about it. So I had to use a console command to shut it off. It was so stupid.
I just remember accidentally stealing the med pack. I was like, "Oh fuck!" And then nobody was doing anything, and nobody was coming after me. And then I started looking around, and I gave a couple seconds, but the flight simulator like officer was just booking it toward me, and stops in front of me.
Hey, you!
It says something, and then all of a sudden I'm like, well, okay, so what's this guy really gonna do? He's unarmed. He's just some fucking flight sim officer. And then I turn around, and that's when the UC security guard is right in my face. I was like, God! Yeah. And so they told me to come with them, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll just pay my bounty, and I'll surrender the fucking one med pack, and I'll be on my way. But then it started this whole new quest line with
which is
whoever they
cool.
were there, the intermediary with Mr. Akandi. And
Oh,
I was like,
Jillian
what
Toft.
the fuck
Yeah.
is going on right now?
Sis
And then
stuff.
I'm on this whole other ship and I'm in space somewhere just for stealing a med pack. I'm like, whoa, man, I think we all need to just relax. Okay, I'll give you the med pack back. Like, just let me go. Like, what is going
Take the
on
coffee.
here?
I just need a little pick me up. Yeah.
Nick's got his pockets full of coffee cups.
My pants are soaked in coffee water. Yeah.
Oh, during my perk select, I selected a adoring fan, but he only showed up once.
Really? Did you not invite
I
him on
saw
your
him.
ship so he could annoy the shit out of you?
I can't remember, but he only showed up
That
once.
might have been what you were supposed to do, or at least invite him to be part of
okay,
your crew,
maybe.
and
Wow,
then
you
just keep
wasted
him in
your
your
perk.
lineup.
Damn it.
Damn.
Wasted your perk. All right, let's
Crazy.
move on to visuals here. Game
It's
looked
beautiful.
very cool. The aesthetic, the kind of retro space thing that the Nova, what is their names? Nova, the company, the ship company.
The
It's
stuff
just
that-
Nova?
I don't remember.
Yeah, Nova Industries or Nova Frontiers. Or
It's like the
something
first after NASA. It was like the first kind
Yeah.
of original OG space.
Oh man, it's so beautiful.
manufacturing company.
I just love going into my ship and like looking at all the little pieces of metal and seats and cushions that's everywhere, like the side panels. Like it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
post
cool
NASA
textures, nice
kind of.
textures.
Oh man,
Yeah,
it's so beautiful.
and then just the landscapes and obviously when you're flying in space, it's not HDR, but on the OLED it still looks nice because you
It
have
still looks
perfect-
cool.
because you have the perfect black.
Yeah.
So a space
Yeah.
game is I had to actually use a mod to take off this weird. There's a weird
fadey-
haze
Yeah.
in the game, like it's almost
Yeah.
like hazy, and
Oh,
like a
the
filter
gamma's
that they put on
correct.
it. It's like
Yeah,
a filter.
they put it on there so it doesn't have to do any type of like processing in the draw distance in the background. So it kind of like lightens the load for those Series S owners.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I removed it with a mod, and now it's just like I get
It's beautiful.
what actually it's just there, and it looks like it should. The lights are off, and it's dark, and when it should be, and it's not gray and like
Yeah, there's a lot of
hazy.
mods that people make, like these LUTs or
LUTs, it was a
the
LUT, yeah.
reshades that people do, where they'll tweak all the contrast and all this stuff, sharpness. They'll
Yeah.
do the bloom lighting, all this stuff, and they'll put it in a little pack for you. Download it, you apply it to your reshade app, which is tied to the EXE of Starfield, and then you load it up in game with a little shortcut key, and you say. And you can turn it on and off and on so you can see the difference. And man, it makes a huge difference.
Damn.
Massive difference.
I'm starting to question whether or not I should have just gotten the Steam version so I could do all these mods because I'm
I
starting to
think-
get a little FOMO, boys.
I think you can. I think
For the
you can do
Game
it
Pass version?
with the Game Pass version. I think there is a
Okay.
way. So it's
I'm
just
sure
because
there's a way.
it's weirdly nested, so it might be a few extra steps. A little bit more
That's what I hate
complicated
about
steps.
the Xbox or the Windows Games app. It's
But
so
it's definitely
dumb.
worth it. Definitely worth looking into it because it has transformed the game for me. Like I got this one guy's reshade pack, and man, like it looks so good. It looks
It's
so
good.
It's so good. It might.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll hit your FPS by like a couple
A couple frames here and there.
of frames here and
Ooh,
there.
I
but
don't have
man,
frames to spare. I do not have frames to spare. I'm
man, it
sorry.
looks so
I have
good.
none
It
to
looks so
give, thank you.
good. And I also downloaded a mod where the guy upscaled textures to 4K.
Okay.
And you can download those packs and overwrite the texture packs that are in the game. Oh my god, it's so good.
Good
like in
stuff.
the ship, like when you go on the ship with these like the 4K texture packs, oh my god, it looks so good. Looks so good.
Yeah. I
The
think
game is
that like
beautiful. The game is
the
beautiful.
art direction is particularly compelling, and I love how well thought out each of the different environments that are like the main curated areas are. And obviously it's the disparity too of each of the
Yeah.
worlds, because you have neon and it's like kind of that like kind of glowing kind of, you know, night city vibe
Yeah.
on the
Do you
on the
notice-
main areas, and then
Do you notice
Ebside.
it's like propped up out of the water? Neon
Yeah.
City? Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
okay.
a gigantic
just noticed
fishing
that, like, not
station. It
too
looks
long
like
ago.
an oil rig. It's just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
an
that's
overpopulated
fucking
oil
sweet.
rig is what it's like, which is
that's
really
so
cool.
sweet.
and then
you'll find
obviously
yourself in New Atlantis, and you're like, whoa. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
and
Like
that was the craziest thing, is that realizing that you can go to the spaceport and there's this entire like underbelly of New Atlantis, which is basically just like IRL New York City, and it's just like this grungy, area
I haven't
where
been
people.
yet, actually. I've heard of it.
Oh, really? I
haven't
haven't
gone
been
down
there yet.
Yeah, it's this place called The Well, and there's a bunch of like I spent a chunk of time in New Atlantis just doing a bunch of
shit.
side missions, and like there's an entire mission where you're chasing down like people who are like stealing energy from New Atlantis down in the core and stuff. It's so cool.
Sweet.
They're like
Fuck, man, that's
rerouting power
awesome.
and stuff down there so they can like pump their 4090s at max capacity, so they have gold rated power supply units. But yeah, it's really cool, and it is like each of the areas have this like weird disparity. It's like even on Aquila, there's like the nice shopping area or like the different gun stores, and then there's that stretch where you're not really supposed to go, but you go down there anyway. And it's so cool, and all of those different kind of like well curated environments. I haven't done a lot of, I have gone to like random moons to hunt down like eclectic mercenaries, and I do find when in some of those there are like same, like I've been into like multiple caves that are the exact same cave. I've been into multiple kind of like habitats that are in those like abandoned Crimson Fleet or abandoned ecliptic like stations where you're
Mining
on some
stations,
moon,
yeah.
and it's like everything is kind of positioned the same way each time with minor differences. So there is some of that procedural sameness, but overall just the art direction and the feel of being inside a spaceship or walking down a city and seeing like those kind of that futuristic architecture is just always, I'd nerd out about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely sweet. Like I think my favorite is just I never go straight to cockpit. Never.
Never, yeah.
Never.
Oh, really?
I always go
I
in
love walking
and
around my ship.
I walk around my
too.
ship and
My
all
ship,
the time.
I made my ship a bit weird, so it's not very easy to get to the cockpit. So I always go to cockpit.
Yeah.
I'm like,
fair.
I have to go. Okay, I have to go up. I gotta go one over, down, to the right, down, and then okay, I gotta remember to do that. But like, because the way you put your modules and shit. But then I learned
That's kind of
that you
cool,
can
though. You get
stack
to learn
them.
your ship and like where the cockpit is and whatever.
But you
Yeah.
can stack so that all of your ladders are kind of like in the same spot. There's a way that you can do that. Depending on what piece you use, and that your cargo bay is going to come up here because that's where your cargo bay comes up. So you get a module that has a ladder in the middle of it, and you can use that as your kind of main column for your elevation.
Right. Yeah.
And that's your like distribution. So you need to go there. But I didn't have that. I was all over the place. There was ladders. There was it was a nightmare.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the gun models?
Oh, I loved them.
Like they're
I
so
thought they
nice.
were really sick
They're
looking, and I love how they
so nice.
change when you add mods to them. Like they
Yeah.
depending on which mod you
Yeah.
do. And I'm curious because I know that you said you spec'd into it a little bit more, Jono. But like the different mods, like do they give you like some of the experimental ones where the weapons start looking crazy? Because I'm excited
There's
to see some of
skins.
that.
There's
Okay.
skins that you can change in the mod thing. I haven't ever seen one though. I don't know
Okay.
where you get them.
But
Yeah,
again,
that's
you
so
gotta
weird.
freaking spec into it to mod those guns.
Maybe, maybe it unlocks it with the spec. I don't know. I'm gonna have to unlock everything. I'm gonna literally cheat and just fucking.
I think that's the only way you're really going to do it because we can't undo everything, right? I'm already level, what am I, 40, I think? And I'm like, oh. Like how many levels? I think you can lock a lot if you got to like 100.
I don't
if
think
you
there's
get to
level
100.
cap. I don't know how many.
Oh, there's no level cap? We don't know that? Do we know
Yeah,
think
that's
so.
what I've heard is that there is no level cap. It will just keep on going.
So you
because
can just you can keep unlocking until.
Yeah, because of the nature of the story, you can
Oh,
just
yeah,
kind of
perfect.
continue. Yeah. In New Game Plus, this is what I understand. This is not really a spoiler, but New Game Plus, nothing carries over except your skill tree and your experience and your level. Everything else is
Yeah,
Left
that's
behind.
what I
Okay.
did. They give you a choice. They give you a choice to do one of two things, and
Let's stop
one
there.
of them is
You can stop
one of
there.
them is the game mode plus where you start over, and I didn't even know that though, so they don't tell you. So I would have liked to actually know that. So
Yeah.
I'm actually doing you a favor. One
Think about it.
decision that you do will start you over with nothing. And you'll probably know that I'm telling.
really.
Now that I tell you this,
Did you have to
you'll
load a
probably
save?
know.
I loaded a save, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know, but I could. I mean, but yeah, just so you
it's
know,
the same thing with
that's what
Cyberpunk.
happens.
They do the
My
same thing in
Cyberpunk
Cyberpunk?
ended.
No.
I didn't get a new game plus in Cyberpunk.
No,
Mine just
you don't
ended.
get a
No,
New
they
Game
don't do
Plus
New
is
Game Plus, but you load just to a previous save before a point of no return.
Oh
type
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This
Yep.
isn't like that though. You can just there. It's like part of the story, kind of. You know what I mean?
Right.
Without saying too much more. But yeah, I chose that. I was like, okay, that sounds cool.
All right.
Yeah.
And it was actually just starting over. I'm like, fuck, all my shit's gone. My fucking sweet ship, all my money, everything
Yeah.
was gone.
Daniel, you're at the point in the game where I thought it was very memorable. Have you run into an interesting NPC character that's got this cool gray armor called the Hunter yet?
I have not.
No, he
Okay.
wouldn't have. Not
I have
yet.
not. Is that like main mission? Is that the main?
You
Because
have not, Jonathan.
I remember when I
Oh,
was at
yes.
your
Hunter,
it's
yes.
he just populates in the areas that you are in, and I remember when I was at your level at your point in the campaign progress, and he showed up at it was in the viewport in New Atlantis. And he just was chilling.
Oh.
He was just sitting there. He was this really interesting looking NPC because I loved going there and looking at all the goofy ass NPCs and be like, you can't
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on my ship. I'm not bringing you on. And then I see this dude standing off in the distance and he's just like leaning against the wall with his arms crossed.
see him.
Yeah.
I
He's
did
just
see that
chilling
guy
there. He's just chilling
Oh
there. And
my
I went up and I
God.
talked to him and he was like, oh wow, a lot of people don't typically talk to me. And I was like,
I didn't even. I totally forgot about that, man.
Okay.
yeah,
No, I
it's
didn't- I don't
pretty
think I've
neat.
seen
So
him.
yeah,
Okay,
check
all
talk
right.
to him because he's got an
Wow.
interesting
Okay.
little flavor. Yeah.
Wow,
All right,
I didn't
nice.
even remember that part. Holy crap! But I did do that. Wow.
All right, guys. So
Yeah.
we're gonna wrap it up with like a recommend and review score.
Okay.
So far, Daniel probably won't be able to do that yet, but
Well, I mean, I
A little
can score
blurb.
what I've played, a value for what I have played.
yeah, okay. So just do a little blurb to summarize what you think of the game, and then end it with a little score.
Okay.
So Nick, you want to go, or do you want to?
Let me go. Let me go a little bit later. I
Okay,
want to.
cool.
I want to lean on you guys first.
So
I'm curious.
I'll kick it off. It's a definite recommend, especially to players who obviously love Bethesda games like Fallout, Oblivion, Skyrim. This itched that need for a new Bethesda game. Like I couldn't get anywhere else. Right? Like you kind of like want a Diablo game, but nothing's gonna quench that Diablo thirst until Diablo 4 came out. You know what I mean? You try these ARPGs or whatever, and you can't really get it. This was the same thing. It's like 10 years, or when was Skyrim? 10 years, I think.
Yeah, when it
You know what I mean?
released.
Or was it Fallout 4 after
2010?
Skyrim? Anyway, it was a very long time.
Skyrim was
2011. November
Wow.
11th,
Fall of
2011.
2011.
Because I didn't
Yeah,
play
2011,
Fallout 4. So my last big Bethesda game was Skyrim.
Yeah,
and
same.
Elder Scrolls Online, but it doesn't really count. But yeah, like I love this game. The mod, the official mod sport coming out next year. I can't wait for that. For Todd Howard to unlock those doors. The game did lull a few times for me. Getting the powers. I don't know if Daniel's there yet. but I'll
the
Yeah.
powers. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
like
done
getting
that.
the powers was
I didn't use a
kind of
single
lame.
one. Not a single one.
And super
didn't use it
like
once.
fetch questy, and it was the same thing. They didn't give you like a dungeon to do before, or even a different puzzle. Like
Or
I hate
change the
puzzles,
task,
but like
yeah.
just to change the task a little bit, just a little tiny bit.
You mean you guys didn't find the Palpatine lightning?
No,
I'm
not
kidding.
yet.
That's
actually, I
not.
don't
That's
think
not. I just made that up. That's not a real thing.
No, that would be sweet. The ones
I
I,
use,
have,
like,
I'm
two.
like, why would I use these? I don't need to use any of these.
Yeah, and I don't like the
completely
button-
forgot they exist.
I don't like the button combo that it uses
Yeah,
because if you
pressing
hit L1,
LBRB.
if you hit L1 just
So
a
you do your
slight
special
second
in Apex,
before,
man. That's your
it, like,
Apex
puts it-
special.
Can you let me talk? Hold on. You're making me lose my fucking track here. So whenever you're pressing the shoulder buttons, if you click one button just before the other one, you go into your scanner. And you're like, you got to get out of the
yes.
scanner. Fuck. How many times that's driving me crazy. That really bothered me. But like, there's some lulls, up and downs, but overall, I loved my experience in this game. Like, I love the ship building. I love the flying up, shooting, even just shooting the asteroids to get some friggin' materials. You know, just dip, 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 dip.
You do that? Can you get a lot from that? I don't.
Yeah, I just do it because I like shooting my guns. I don't know.
It adds
But, like,
up, I think.
Yeah. I loved it. I loved the game. I was expecting this. This is what I expected. I think to the where I put my expectations. This hit my expectations where I was leveling it. I wasn't going too far, expecting too much, and it hit that expectation. So the romancing was kind of lame.
Oh yeah, I didn't even do it. I didn't even do anything.
It's not really
I played
happening
60 hours.
for me.
I didn't really. I think you have to spec into it.
A romance tree?
No, you have to spec into the.
Are you
social,
serious?
Yes, there's a social tree and your companion rapport or whatever it's called. What is it called? What do they call it?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like leadership is like your companion affinity. Yeah.
Yeah, affinity. So I think you have to spec into it to get it up to the level enough so we can I saw one option to flirt. That's all I saw in the entire
Aren't you
game.
banging NPCs left and right in Baldur's Gate? Isn't that the thing?
And it's even in Cyberpunk, Cyberpunk brings it to a whole nother level.
This game was very non-sexual. It was very it had no sex appeal. This game has no sex appeal.
Where are the balls, Todd? Where
Is
are the
with
balls?
the lack of sex appeal?
The NPCs aren't very attractive.
Yeah, they're not.
The character models aren't really
is like
attractive.
That the
in
character
general.
models are not very good. It's just
Except
not,
Andrea.
There's no sex appeal.
She's wifey, but
She's very good.
Andrea's nice,
Yeah.
but dude,
overall,
it's just lacking.
I'm done. I rolled the credits. I'm satisfied. I'll continue to play. I'm going to continue playing this for a very long time, I think. But overall, I give the game an 8.5 out of 10.
hey, okay,
That's pretty good. That's pretty
nice.
good. Yeah, I'd probably give it like an 8.
Okay.
I liked it. Like it's good it's a good experience to get lost in, but it's not like the main story wasn't particularly gripping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Kind of like Hogwarts.
like Baldur's Gate, like Hogwarts. There was a lot of different quests though. The Hogwarts had like a branch that was really good. Like the Sebastian quest line was fucking.
That's
really
what I mean.
good.
But its main
But the main
quest
quest,
wasn't as
the main
good
quest
as
was
its-
better. It was better than this though.
Yeah.
Hogwarts
Yeah.
Legacy
Oh,
main
okay.
quest was better than this. But like there's a point in the main quest where it gets much better, and you're like, "Whoa, wow, that's fucked up! Like that's really cool." But like overall, it didn't really grip me. But I love the side quests, like the faction quest lines. Those are really cool.
So good.
Yeah. But and the jankiness, it's just like it was a good game, but like I'll give it 8 out of 10. It's nothing fucking mind blowing here. You know what I mean? I say if you enjoy Mass Effect, you'd probably like this. If you enjoyed
Yes.
like
100%.
Fallout, like it's that kind of
Yeah.
game.
Definitely.
100%. Yeah, I'll go ahead and go here. I think that I only agree with everything that you guys have said so far. Like I don't disagree at all. I think for me, I see what you're saying about it's interesting at what you say there, Jonathan, about the main quest and about it not necessarily gripping you. Both of you have said that so far, where it's like it loses itself kind of in its esotericism. I feel like a little bit. It's not relatable. It's not as grounded as maybe some that, and I think that's with intention here, and I feel like Bethesda wrote that in a very purposeful way, where it's like, we want to tell you a larger than life story because you're in a galaxy, you're exploring a galaxy, and they wanted to try and do that. I just feel like for me, and this is my personal preference, is that I generally do look for something that tells a little bit more human truth in the narrative. And that's something that, even though they did a great job on multiple fronts of kind of like, fleshing out characters and, explaining relationships and doing a great job at world building in this game, I wanted a little bit more stronger character identities in some of the core casts. And I feel like if they had worked on that some more, it would have been, and that's literally what Mass Effect gave us, right? And we can't always expect that out of every single title, and that's what makes Mass Effect so special. And Starfield is special in its own special Bethesda way.
Yeah.
But,
I see what you mean.
think-
Like, because it's
yeah.
not, they weren't really, you didn't really care about any of the characters. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I didn't care about Sarah Morgan I don't care.
Oh, I
about
wanted to shoot her
Sam.
in the face.
Yeah, she was just annoying.
Yeah, Nate actively
And like you
disliked
had
her.
to have her in your party for that stretch of quest. Like
No, the
Yeah.
very
Get
beginning.
outta here.
The very
Get
beginning.
outta
She was
here.
insufferable. She was like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily a good thing that you should be doing that when I'm looting a body. And I'm like, lady, calm down. Just their credits aren't, they're not going to use it, right? it's gone.
But in like
right?
Baldur's
don't need
Gate,
Yeah.
like in Baldur's Gate, as an example, the characters are so good, and you end up loving the characters.
Oh,
Like,
here's the
'Cause
question.
they're so
Jonathan.
human. They're written
they're
like so human.
great.
I don't
Yeah.
know how you can answer this, but if you didn't play Baldur's Gate, okay, would Starfield be better for you? Did Baldur's Gate like ruin Starfield for you?
A little bit, yeah, because I was
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, what decisions, what choices are they going to give me? That's what I was thinking in Starfield.
You were spoiled.
and it was just, not. I was like, oh yeah, this isn't Baldur's Gate, right? I had to remember that, and then I was like, so yeah, it kind of did. But like then I would be like, oh, persuade. Yeah, I'm gonna persuade, like in Baldur's Gate when I do that, and then I just dog shit at it and it fails. So I'm like, oh, I guess it's not Baldur's Gate. You know what I mean? And then the relationships and the talking to the characters, it's not as deep, it's not as good. So it's like, so I could, you could say that, yeah.
Cool.
I feel like they
Nick,
surprise
Nick,
you at
continue,
times. It's one of those things where the writing is consistent until it's not, and then they will pop back up in certain moments of side quests where you're like, oh shit, you guys are really doing it here. So
Yeah,
I feel like
kinda,
inconsistency is a part of the identity of Starfield, and for that reason, I'm going to err on the side of sticking with you as well, Jonathan. I feel like this is a good 8 out of 10 game. But when we compare it to like the legacy of what Bethesda has done, for me, it's 10 out of 10. If you enjoy Bethesda games, if you enjoy that Bethesda deep
point.
RPG,
So it's
deep
your favorite
simulator
Bethesda
experience.
Yeah.
What's that?
So it's your favorite Bethesda game?
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
that easily because I'm such a sci-fi guy, and
Yeah.
the open
Yeah.
and the sandbox they have given me in Starfield is more than I could ever ask for, and it's going
Nice,
to be
okay.
better than anything. I'm not playing fucking EVE Online. I'm not playing No Man's Sky. I want to play a game like Starfield and do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where I feel like the selling point for this game lies. And
Nice.
is it going to review critically as well as some of these other games like Spider-Man 2 or Baldur's Gate 3? Who knows? Probably not. It probably won't end up that same way, whether it's at DICE or the Game Awards itself. But I feel like that there are enough positive notes here that they're going to walk away with maybe, a sound design trophy or a narrative design trophy, something like that, because there are some moments of brilliance in this game that can't go unnoticed.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep. Completely
Cool.
agree.
I will absolutely agree in that in terms of their ambition, like it's 10 out of 10 for Bethesda. I don't know if I could say, I haven't finished the story, so I don't really have any right to say that it's like my favorite Bethesda game. I haven't played as far as you guys have. And if I compare it to what, memories Oblivion gave me, Oblivion's still in the running for that. But Starfield definitely has the edge up over Skyrim for that. So the more I play Starfield, it could definitely become my favorite Bethesda game over Oblivion, just because it gave me something fresh with the sci-fi as opposed to the fantasy genre, which is getting a bit tired. Maybe that's why Baldur's Gate wasn't the first thing I wanted, because the fantasy thing I'm not gravitating toward right now, and I haven't in a while because I just got a bit tired of it, and I love the sci-fi element, and so I think that it could definitely become my favorite Bethesda game, but it's definitely something you have to play if you're a Todd Howard head. If you're a friggin' Skyrim head and Oblivion
If you're a
head,
God
you have to
Howard
play these
follower,
games.
worshiper.
I'm
If you're
sure
a God
that if you
Howard-
are, though, if you're a God Howard follower,
If you're a God Howard
you're
disciple,
already playing the game.
If you pray at the altar of Todd. I will say this to agree with you wholeheartedly, Daniel. I feel like the ponies can eat their heart outs with this one because they're missing out of everything that's come out this year. Starfield is not a game that you want to miss just because you're beholden to one video game camp in this silly ideological walls that we build for ourselves. So yeah,
sure. There are some things knocking down points, but not much. So I would have to err more on Nathaniel's end, I think about a little bit more than 8. I think is fair for me. So far, I'm going to give it an 8.5 too. I can't say 9. Can't say 9,
Yeah,
but
no,
it's pretty freaking close.
I couldn't say a 9. Yeah, I couldn't say a 9.
Cool.
All right, let's fucking end then.
Let's do it.
It's a recommend from everybody. I think obviously we talked a lot about it, so I mean, I think we're just going to stop it there.
Fuck.
That's it. No more.
Sure.
Let's do it. No more Starfield. We're done with coverage.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Nick, refresh our listeners where they can find you.
Absolutely. If you haven't caught me before, if you haven't listened to my show before, I am one half of the Friday Night Gamecast. You can find us on all podcasting platforms, the Friday Night Gamecast, and we are there. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at FNGC Pod, and you can find us on there and reach out to either myself or Will directly and communicate with us there. We have our link tree, and I'm sure the boys will include that in the show notes, so just check that out and check us out on your favorite gaming platforms.
There you go. We're over.
Adios.
Peace.
Peace.
See ya.